Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with Sean Bell.
Hello.
James Farley.
Hello.
And Matt Murray.
Hello.
We'll start the show, as we always start the show, by thanking our Patreon producers this month. They are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S., Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Richard Sawyer, and Dave Ernsberger. Yes, get in there, did it right this week. Go on, Dave, you got it there, mate. Full bloody Nels. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/TCGS and signing up to one of the various tiers we got going on there. It's all very exciting. It's all happening. It's all happening. Our Talks Over went well last week. Our bonus show's out for this month. And at the start of next month, we'll be planning what we're doing next. And I can't wait.
Speaking of the Talks Over, now my YouTube recommendations are wild. It's loads of incredibly boring videos. I didn't.
No, Matt. Matt, no.
Yeah.
Some of those videos are not boring. There is some amazing training videos.
Some of them.
Yeah.
I can guarantee they're better quality than your usual ones, which are just motivational speakers about social media and unboxing videos of tech that no one's got any interest in.
Of course, I want a phone that flips around and. Do
you know, Matt, I don't know if you've done this, but it's quite fun sometimes to find a really, really cheap, electronic product on Amazon. Like, I'm talking like £5 and search the name of it, like, plus unboxing. Because usually it's like some, 8-year-old in his bedroom going, here are my new sound Pete's. And
excuse me,
get the cable.
Excuse me, sorry. I'm trying to take issue with that.
You started enjoying that joke then. You started enjoying that joke.
Pulled the rug from underneath me. It was a trap all along. But yeah, it's that really weird thing, isn't it? As I say, it's like 8-year-old kids, but they're like copying all the language and mannerisms of like, Marcus Brownlee and stuff. And it's just
oh yeah, totally.
Like,
hi guys. When
kids.
you look at it, it's like
Peace.
There's literally one view. So I don't know who the guys are. I don't know who's qualified that S on the end of guy there, but fair enough. What a week! What a crazy week!
Blimey.
I mean, I sent you a text. What was it yesterday? Saying, "Want to feel old?" The Series S was announced last week. we haven't done a podcast on it yet. What the hell? Yeah, crazy, unbelievable. So let's before we get to all that news, let's get to the feedback from last week's show. Matt Murray.
Yes, we're going to start with Gary Swift. It's a dig at Dave. How many times was Dave dropped on his head as a child? Both Death in Paradise and Hello Hello were both in the evenings, not in the afternoon.
yeah, Dave, you
Jesus,
you that fucking idiot, Dave.
You
Jesus
absolute
Christ.
Twat.
Could you imagine, mate? I wasn't expecting that. I thought when you first started reading that, I was like, oh no, what have I said? Imagine getting that, sitting there on the bus listening to that. Go, hold on a minute. That was on the evening, not the afternoon. Right. Getting the phone out.
This guy's a real idiot. Just...
I mean, if it was 5:30, it'd be borderline, but for fuck's sake.
All I'll say is this, right? I remember Saturdays going to Millwall, right, watching us lose probably, getting in the car at about 5 o'clock, getting home at about 20 to 6, walking in the front room, and Hello Hello was on the telly. Now, is that the evening? Don't feel like the evening. About 20 to 6 it was.
They also did reruns in the afternoon as well, like later on.
Also,
so,
if you're talking about when they were originally shown, I'm not sure. When did that? I mean,
it was the 80s.
Don't remember it from then.
Were we alive?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
Death in
James
Paradise, that's definitely at 9 o'clock. That's a watershed show, isn't it? In every sense of the word.
No, it isn't. Death in Paradise, the one with Cat and the... No. Oh, yeah, he did it originally, didn't he? Wasn't it after the One show?
No, Death in Paradise is like as Gary Swift rightly said, it's like a 9 p.m. It's called Death in Paradise. There's murders in it.
Yeah, I know, but you don't
6
see
o'clock.
anything.
That's when the news and Neighbours is on. That's not even on there, was it?
Well, I'll have to check that. But either way, I'm half right. Hello Hello was definitely an afternoon show when I was a kid. Definitely.
Well,
walking past. Also, I should point out, because I've had a bunch of messages on the Discord about this, I do understand the joke that the French policeman wasn't actually French and was pretending to be French, and that's why his accent was so bad. Like, and I do understand that he was trying to... Someone actually pointed out to me on Discord saying, you do realise he was trying to say, I was walking past the door when I heard a shot. And yes, I got the joke.
That's the whole joke.
Understand. I know. It was so bizarre. I was like, David, just let you know, he was trying to say walking past the door when he had a shot instead of passing by the door. Sorry, I've even fucked that up. Oh, God, I'm going to get more feedback next week. Let's just move on, shall we?
Actually, one other thing, Dave, I'm not sure. You know, there's no actual French people there because they're actually acting. The whole thing is actually fake as well.
What?
Did you know that?
Yeah, fuck him.
I saw that on like a Channel 4 documentary about it. It's crazy.
Was Hello Hello was the one with the Mona Lisa with the big boobies, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was that one and not
I didn't
Dad's
watch
Army.
that much of it.
What? You don't know about the Mona Lisa with the big boobies?
Yeah, I remember that.
No, I don't.
That was brilliant.
I mean, I obviously know of the show, but it's hardly, staple in my household.
It was terrible. It was an awful show.
It's a busy week.
Even back
shouldn't
then,
be spending the first 10 minutes talking about Hello Hello.
I mean, why not?
Can we call this episode the Hello Hello special?
Can we not?
Can we
do that? Move on.
Or SELO, it knows as much.
No, won't we get loads of Hello Hello fans joining in?
Both of them.
Oh, yeah.
It goes off the rails when they get to the news section, but prior to that, it's great.
What do any international listeners think of this? You know, they're just like...
If you don't know what we're talking about, if you're, if you've never heard of Hello Hello, just Google the Mona Lisa Vivzi big boobies.
That is a phrase I never thought I'd hear you say, like on a podcast. If you've never heard of Hello Hello, it's just...
Fair enough.
I mean... Yeah, obviously the episode was going to be called, S Revealed, but now I think Mona Lisa with the big boobies is probably better.
That's another good one.
Well, anyway, yeah, it's also, I think about new listeners thinking, a lot of podcasts this week put about the Series S, and like 15 minutes in, they're still talking about the Mona Lisa with the big boobies.
I mean, that's the joke that, yeah, okay. Sean made that joke. Let's move on to the next.
Did it? I thought it was international listeners. It doesn't matter.
Definitely. Let's move on.
No, I don't want to move on. No, let's move on. Jeff Lee, at 55:13 in the last episode, did Sean call Matt a fucking idiot? Bit harsh. Someone needs a swear box.
I mean,
Sean?
No, obviously. If you listen back to it,
not obviously.
I'm talking about Nintendo as a... It's not even... doesn't even sound like I'm addressing Matt.
No, but you're well within your rights, I think, Sean.
I don't think he is.
That's okay.
That's rich, David, coming from you.
Well, don't have a go at the eyes. Let's
all nicknames.
Let's move on to the next one.
Another dig, actually, Dave. Han Solo's Dice. Every time I hear David criticise anything, like Nintendo, Animal Crossing, Nintendo, Death in Paradise, or Nintendo, I remember that he said that his favourite genre of films are gangster films, but he's never watched The Godfather.
Yeah, I've never seen The Godfather. Maybe I do need to watch them.
Godfather
it's finding the time.
God calls.
They are quite long, and you should probably only bother with the first two, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that the third is absolutely terrible.
James, are you an expert?
I don't know if there's a clip.
I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I've enjoyed them, though. I mean, I saw them
Sean, are you an expert?
a couple of times.
I've never seen them.
I was thinking God calls. We need to
just stop trying to... it's James and my format. Let's just back away. We'll deal with it. Submit your ideas.
It's a collective format.
No. Yeah, but this was created before TCGS.
Yeah,
I didn't sign anything over
That's
to
the point.
it.
That's
been
the point.
acquired.
It's a pre-existing IP.
I don't know about that.
Where's
the money then, Matt?
Mario
Where's money?
Mario 3D World. To prevent Dr. Farley making an unnecessary double-dip purchase, he could stream himself unboxing the Wii U as an incentive to dust off the old console. In fact, given how forthright he is with his children, he could even save even more by wrapping up with Mario 3D World and give it to his son for Christmas.
Not bad.
Or re-wrapping up the Labo that he bought him for his birthday and didn't build for him and he's forgotten about.
That's still like in a cupboard. I've got to do something about it.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
That's not surprised at all.
Yeah, it's not a shocking reveal. That's just...
I've got the vehicle one as well.
You can't just play that off as a joke every time.
I've got the vehicle one still in its cellophane wrapping as well. It was cheap. I got it really cheap, but it was still... I don't know.
Yeah, but it's still money spent on something that you haven't used.
I will do it eventually.
It's still a child's dream
crushed,
packed away in a drawer.
Yeah.
It's cellophaned up.
It's just how long
in a
it takes to
drawer.
build. I just can't be bothered. It's
Unbelievable. James, did I give you a good reason to get your Wii out? This is that's come on. The Wii U. Did I give you a good reason to get that out this week?
You did, but
have you been tempted?
I didn't watch that video, so can you explain what it was? Because I didn't see it.
Basically, apparently it's the perfect emulation machine.
Yeah,
Okay.
mate.
Because it's really easy to hack it, and you can just have it in the corner and play it on the pad or beam it to the telly.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff.
Up to what sort of level? Like, what sort of emulation are you getting up to?
Sorry, mate. What are you? Hold on. What are you talking about? Are you
Well, no,
asking
is it-
how illegal you're going to get? Or
No.
what?
What I'm talking about is what kind of machines can you get up to? Like, is it? Are we,
I don't know, James. Watch the fucking video I sent you. How about
I was gonna
that?
say, yeah, Dave's already given you the resource, James.
I know, but I'd have thought that you would have, like, you'd be able to tell me that. That's,
I mean,
you know.
I would rather we didn't
James,
discuss that on the pod.
when you won't look up a fucking quote for a podcast, your job on a podcast, I'm not going to watch a 20-minute video and explain to you how to
Was
do
it 20
something that you
minutes?
might want to do on your Wii U. I think
Was it
it was
20
20
minutes?
minutes. There's a lot of fluff at the start, but
That's why I
watch
didn't watch it.
We shouldn't be talking about this illegal, innit?
Yeah,
No, it's
I'm not going
'cause
to do that
James
anyway.
No, James is only going to play legal backups of games he owns, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
I've got tons of Jaguar games I want to get into. So, yeah.
There's so many good ones. It's
Yeah.
hard to keep
There's
track.
no way he doesn't own them.
Yeah.
Go on.
Steve Norman. Guys, love last week's pod. On Game & Watch, I think you're about 10 to 15 years too young to appreciate it. But for many of us, Game & Watch was the first video game system we ever owned. And for £50 for that level of nostalgia is a bargain.
See, I dispute that because I'm not 10 to 15 years too young to appreciate it because they were kicking around when I was young, and they weren't that great then either. So yeah.
Also, they didn't play a full game of Super Mario. So where's the nostalgia coming in? Just the bits of plastic.
Well, I guess nostalgia is
empty
they
one.
had it when they were younger and they want to see it again. That's nostalgia.
Okay, but it's different, isn't it? Because it plays a completely different game, and I thought the nostalgia would be that it was the
It's the
actual
form
thing.
factor in it. It's just because it's
Yes.
like it looks like the thing that the kid had in the playground. Somebody had like the
Well, if you're
folding clamshell one. Somebody had like the Mario one. It's all that.
Who sent this in? This email?
Steve
this
Norman.
message? Steve, if you are 10 to 15 years older than us, maybe time to grow up, mate. Sorry, I'm joking. I don't know why I'm in such a fighting mood today, but I am. Sorry. No, you do what you want. You buy one, mate. Enjoy it.
Barry Mitchell, I wonder if James is right, Daniel, and they being Nintendo, will wait 6 months to release the new 3D All-Stars game separately. That will take us up to September, which has usually been when they update Switch Online. Will at least get N64 games by then?
I don't think you can predict anything that Nintendo are going to do with stuff like.
You certainly can't predict
this.
that they're going to put N64 games on Switch Online.
I don't think they are.
that's
I don't think they
happening
are.
at all.
I don't think they will. No, I think it's unlikely.
I don't think they are ever. They'll wait a few consoles
No, but
before.
you say ever. I mean, surely they will at some point because there's money on the table and they like money for old games.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I mean. If they get away with making you pay for Mario 64,
yeah,
then
that's a good point. Yeah.
why not just do that with every other? Yeah,
See, because they've already
think
did
this
this
is how
with
they
the
plan
Yeah,
it.
Wii
they'll
U.
wait until people stop buying it, and then they'll release it for whatever system's out then. It's certainly not going to be the Switch.
yeah.
I mean, you could buy N64 games on Wii U and also on the Wii as well.
Yeah.
And so I think they're probably going to be more likely going to do that, like just buying them separately or whatever, rather than putting them in a service.
Do you know, I'd been thinking about that argument as well that was doing the rounds about why they've chosen to cancel it in March, and there was that. What is it? They were saying, to get all the sales in before the end of the start of the financial year, and I just thought, why would they want to do that? To make up for the lack of the whole COVID thing. And I thought, yeah, but Nintendo have had a pretty fucking amazing year, haven't they? Animal Crossing, Switch sales are still caning it. Like, what hole are they filling? I still don't get that argument. I still don't think that's the reason.
It's odd.
I think
they want to do it down.
obviously next year or next financial year, Switch Pro, other games like that. And I feel like if they have an insane year, then next year could be down. I feel like it's more just like trying to protect the trajectory of their financials, maybe. So
Okay, but their financials are going up this year, aren't they? Because they're selling
Yeah, they've
loads
gone
of.
up
They have one of the most
massively this year.
successful games that they've ever released.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely,
it is
yeah.
the most successful game on the Switch, isn't it?
Yeah,
Plus,
I think
they've
so,
sold a ridiculous amount of consoles. So
Yeah.
I don't agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it is something to do with financials, but I'm too dumb to know what exactly it is. Brad from Seinfeld has tweeted in Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh shit! I've heard of that.
In Tony Hawk Pro Skater, each character has to collect the stat points from each level. I'm guessing David switched characters at some point, and that's why I had to recollect them. Also, apparently, the stat point locations change based on which type of skater you're using.
Well, Brad, I'll tell you this. You're absolutely 100% right.
Got him.
Because John, after we recorded the last show, John Denton texted me and said, yeah, you probably got those stat points because I think I spoke to him about it while we were playing. And he went, yeah, you probably got them because you switched character. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course I did. Oh, my God, how I can't believe I didn't work that out. But yeah, that's exactly what I did.
With,
yeah, a little bit.
Full Nels member Simon Nelson on the subject of FMV games for James to play. If you found the Nomad sold too hard, I would recommend the Pandora Directive. It is revered in adventure game circles, making number 9 on the Adventure Gamer top 100 adventure games of all time. So, the Pandora Directive, James, get on that.
Never heard of it, but yeah, maybe I'll have a look and see if it's something worth looking
Hope
at.
it's not a typo to
absolutely not
detective,
gonna have a
but I'm
look.
fairly
You
sure
won't
it
have a
is
look.
Directive.
I'm having a look right now. I'm just, it's...
Well, don't do it on the
You
podcast.
Google it once. Yeah,
Don't do it during the show. That's it.
I recommend something to do on the Wii U. He doesn't bother looking at the video. Someone messages in, he's straight on his phone.
I didn't get
Well,
round
it's
to
not
it,
Simon,
did
it's a
I?
Full
I
Nels
didn't get
member,
round
so
to it. I was
it's a bit
going to,
different.
and then...
There's a level.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Simon
Fair
Nelson,
enough.
for fuck's sake.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
That
right.
is it for feedback. If you want to leave us feedback, go to tcgs.co/deartcgs.
James is sweating this week. He's
I
sweating,
think we're all
not just because of
sweating.
the heat,
I don't know what you're on
but
about.
the heat of the news.
There's not been that much going on. It's been a quiet one, hasn't it?
Brad would be.
Would you like some Xbox news?
Oh, put it
Oh,
in.
if
would
there's
love
been
some
some, yeah,
Xbox
I
news.
suppose, yeah.
I mean, I would have liked it one day before it came out. That would have helped us quite a bit, but no, it came out between the fact that we recorded and by the time the podcast was released. So I heard Matt's cheeky little intro last
had to
week.
do
He
very nice.
consult us on that. Yeah. Go on.
All right, so we had the leak, basically, and so Xbox Series S was finally revealed, priced at £249. It's coming 10th of November, and the pre-orders go live on the 22nd of September. And we got like the whole what the specs were. Specs are. I don't know, one of those. So it's got support for 120 frames per second at 1440p, 4K upscaling for games, 4K media playback, ray tracing, all that stuff, and a 512.
People are going to be a bit disappointed with it. I think if that's to me that sounds like battery life. 10 hours, but then you finally get the device and it lasts about 3. You know what I mean? I've got a feeling they're going to say this can hit those levels, but it very rarely will.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not the feeling you guys get?
I mean, it's just a spec sheet. It's like same in all technology. I mean, obviously it will be capable of that, but it remains to be seen how often it's going to be hit. But I mean, all I can say right now is that it's
I've got a feeling.
They're planning for that.
Between the Series S and Series X, I reckon the more regular thing we're going to see is 1080p 60 frames and 4K 60 frames. I think that's where the levels are going to be at.
Yeah.
But that varies between games. But I think that's what we're looking at. Go on.
Hang on, sorry, but you were saying on the Series X, you expect those two settings, yeah? Is that what you?
Sorry?
Is that what you're saying? On the Series X, you expect the settings between 1080, 60, and
No. Between Series S and Series X, I think you're just looking at a HD output for Series X and 4K, maybe higher frame rate for Series X. I think that's going to be the difference, isn't it?
You just said Series X twice
You
there.
did, yeah.
I've got quite confused because you've been saying Series X the entire time.
I say Series S?
Yeah, you've been saying X the entire time.
Oh no, I
have
heard.
I really?
I heard S. So
Really? I had X the whole time.
Well, no,
Tell you what,
this
listeners.
this is like the dress. It's like 1 minute you
is.
you hear the S, 1 minute you hear the X.
Yeah.
It's the whole new
Good job
trend.
it's not the Series H, isn't it? That would be.
Is it purple and is it purple and white, or is it blue and bloody black, Matt? Oh, it's gold, wasn't it? I don't know. Let's go. Right, continue the story, please.
Okay, so it's got a 512 gigabyte SSD. It's got no disk drive or anything, so people are a bit.
I think people know, don't they? Go on.
Yeah, and it's 60% smaller than the X. But then also the other thing, which is tiny, that they're really pushing with this, is that there's going to be this Xbox All Access thing, which is where, I mean, they did this before, didn't they, with the Series, was it with the Xbox One X?
With the One X,
or was it One X, yeah. So, whereby you basically pay a monthly subscription for 24 months, and then you get the machine plus Game Pass Ultimate. If you want to get a Series X, that'll be like $28.99 a month. If you want to get the Series S, then it'll be $20.99 a month, spread over the 24 months. So, yeah. That was the big reveal that we got of that, and then it turned out that we'd already seen the box kind of in an earlier Phil Spencer video.
Yeah, I love that.
From before, and also Digital Foundry also came out and said they already obviously knew about all this. They talked about it with Microsoft, and they even had like a video that they'd already filmed, and they were like,
"Smug,
we can't, we can't reveal this yet, but this is what it all is."
Yeah,
and they went through the
when they
specs.
And all the other tech people and gaming people did their Series X things in March. That was when Microsoft also then showed them the S, but obviously they've been NDA'd up the wazoo, so no one's able to talk about it. But the whole leak was really exciting because it started with the.
I felt so sorry for a man. No, I do and I don't. Firstly, they shouldn't have left it so late, right? Secondly, I really do think what had happened is that they'd sent, because if you notice that, the day that all those YouTubers posted pictures of the sort of demo boxes they were sent, the shells of the console, just for size comparison stuff. I think obviously that was done a few weeks ago, because it just seemed like they were recorded a while back, and that they weren't recorded the day they were posted.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would have seen them at different times or whatever, and stuff like that. So it's always risky when you're putting all that stuff out there, isn't it? Because also it would appear that the content creators will also send videos, and the videos that were leaked seem to be in that. So obviously it was floating around. Whether someone was hacked or whatever, I don't know. But you just think all the work they put in to trying to launch this the best way they can, and then someone just posts a video and it's done.
I know, because then they had like the virtual press briefing got leaked as well, which was like, that's crazy that they did that. I mean, some people have said, and I think they're right, in that overall I don't think this has hurt them at all, because I was going to say,
I've never seen a leak played so well.
But exactly, they handled it amazingly. I thought they
really
did a brilliant job with it.
They really did. We were talking about, James and I were talking about it just before you guys come on. And I said, my favourite bit of the whole thing was when Phil Spencer posted up saying, okay, now you know all the details. We wanted to reveal this last week, but,
next week.
What could we do? Next week, we wanted to reveal this next week, but what can you do? It's, here's all the information, right? And I just thought, could you imagine Sony saying that?
Sony would still be claiming that it was not true. They'd still be saying it's like none of it's true, or really just saying nothing. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah, which is it's the way they do things. It was just very strange to hear it like that. And as we've said on the show before, although some of Microsoft's marketing stuff is absolutely appalling, definitely we want to be your mate, but with that hint of
there was that Game Pass video I just sent you before we started recording, which was
just absolutely shocking.
Yeah, have you heard the whole point is that it's shocking, like that the Game Pass account
rubbish.
No, but it doesn't hit the level of shocking that it needs to hit. It feels like it's trying to be wacky,
trying to be rubbish, and it's like
yeah. Have you heard it, Sean?
I haven't. No.
Okay, well, let me. Where did you send it to me, James? You sent it to me on.
It's in the group,
wasn't it?
I think they've done that. They've posted that song before. I swear I've seen that video months ago as well.
This one. Here we go. This is the song.
All on your phone. So many games. Get in the zone. So many games on your tablet.
Bang it.
So many games.
Wow.
And
now, so I guess I changed the lyrics. Yeah.
No, when you just hit the level of stupid, and it's fine and it works, right? But if at that it misses it completely and just it looks like I know.
Yeah.
It's like my best reference point for this. It's like when Major Nelson did the unboxing of the Xbox One. I know what works. I know what people like. This, and you just go, no, you've completely misunderstood everything. So anyway, where I'm going is that Microsoft do make huge mistakes like that video, but in terms of Phil Spencer, I think he always nails the corporate when he needs to be corporate. Like quite personable when
being a human being,
hearing him on the Gary Whitta podcast and all that sort of stuff. It's I think he nails that really. So their response to the leak was really good, but more importantly, the details that were coming out was surprising. Even though we kind of knew that there was a cheaper system on the way, we didn't know it'd be that much cheaper.
Yeah.
We didn't know it'd be that capable more than anything else.
And we didn't know it was definitely launching at the same time, did we?
No,
No,
I mean,
no.
there was all those rumours that it was going to come later or whatever. That it was they were going to do that.
Which would have made sense because obviously, typically new console generation, it's basically the model is you essentially exploit the early adopters. Like it's like, there's this many millions of people who will just buy the new thing, whatever, because they need it. And I'm not saying they take the piss on pricing, but they know they can probably get away with a bit more for the first 6 months or whatever, and then you start looking at maybe knocking it down, or halfway through the cycle you introduce the cheaper, smaller, maybe lesser version. So to just straight out the gate, just be like, it's up to you. Like
this is very similar though, isn't it, to what they did with the 360? Like when they had the core and the one with the hard drive and everything.
That's true.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to bin off the Xbox One as quickly as possible. And the intention here is to get as many people as possible in with the new machines, so that then they can be like, okay, well, no one's using those anymore anyway. So we can
to be fair, I mean, they are pretty much binning it off, isn't it? The only one that you could get is it the all digital edition, or is it just the regular S is still in production? The others have been discontinued.
That's right. Yeah, they already binned them, didn't they? Yeah.
So I mean, it's what a move! What a move, really! Because honestly, it seems to me that people will be looking at the next generation of consoles and saying, "Well, my kid hasn't got a 4K TV in their bedroom.
Yeah.
They don't need a Series X. The Series S is £200 cheaper in the UK. £250 for a next gen console.
I don't think they're going to be saying that, Dave. They're just going to be going, it's 250 quid. And it's just like, that's
And
which
then they get Game Pass. It's just-
obviously,
They're covered for a year.
well, yeah.
If they get it.
Obviously 250 quid is 250 quid if you haven't got it, it's still an amount of money, but yeah, certainly, as you say, as an entry point for a next generation console, that's fucking good going.
But that's what I mean. It's it's 250 quid compared with whatever Sony's going to be at 500 or whatever. That makes it significantly more attractive.
Yeah.
Sort of price.
Well, it's not just that. It's also the people that are going to sit there and go, I want a PS5, and then the price is announced, and say the cheapest one is 400. Say the digital one's 400, right? They see that and go, I can't afford 400 quid plus the games.
Yeah.
I can't afford that. So instead, this Christmas or whatever, I'll get an S, and then later on down the line, I'll get the PS5.
Yeah, there's only one thing with that, though.
It suddenly becomes a viable option, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, but there's only one thing with that, which is you're kind of assuming that those, you're saying, they can just buy that and they don't need to buy anything else. They still need to subscribe to Game Pass. And I'm still not convinced
you're right,
that people are going to do that in massive numbers, because it's still
Mate, they already have.
No, I'm talking about getting 40, 50 million people on it. That's what I mean. I'm talking about everybody who buys the machine kind of buying it. Because why I think this price is genius is because this is going to capture people who are going to buy this machine at 250 just so they can play stuff like FIFA or COD or whatever like that. And then it's the cheaper entry. I don't think that this guarantees that people are going to get on Game Pass straight away. I don't
think it guarantees it either, but it will certainly boost it. I mean, what are they last we heard, they were at 10 million.
Yeah.
If they sell a bunch of consoles this Christmas, obviously a lot of those people will already have been subscribed to Game Pass, but I do think it will boost the numbers.
It'll boost it, but I still think they've got a long way to go before they can kind of prove that this is like a mainstream, everyone's going to want to get on this, like kind of thing. I really do.
And it is, and they do sort of need that, don't they? Because Game Pass only makes sense if, because if people like me get Game Pass, that probably represents a loss at some point, because I typically buy a lot of games. But what you need, as you say, it's the people who just play FIFA and COD every year. You need them on board, because technically they'd then be paying more for Game Pass than they would have just spent on games anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. But then,
if they've got an option, if those people that just play FIFA and COD every year, if they've got an option to avoid spending £400 or £500 on a console and could go for £250,
and that's exactly why the Series S is genius, because Microsoft still win, like in that case, in the sense that people will buy the hardware. Maybe they won't subscribe to Game Pass, but then they're still going to be in the Xbox ecosystem, which means there's more chance that maybe they will in the future.
We're kind of moving on to it anyway. The other genius move I think they've made is the change to Game Pass. Is that in the news?
Yeah, so they got. So EA Play is also coming to Game Pass Ultimate, not regular Game Pass, but Game Pass Ultimate as well. So that's coming at like no extra cost. That's brilliant as well. This I saw when this happened.
I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see it coming, but I saw like online people were kind of misunderstanding this though. Like people were like, "Oh, and you get all EA's games as well," and it's like, no,
not quite.
That's not it. That's not it at all. It's like you get like their vault stuff, which is there are some decent games in there. There's definitely some decent games in there, and there also are discounts on like future stuff as well, which is pretty good.
And are they still doing the 10-hour free trials on new games?
I think so.
Or have they dropped that?
They're still doing that. And just to explain, yes, this was EA Access. The thing you used to, on Xbox, it was
Origin on
year,
PC, wasn't it? And then it was Access on what's it called on console, and now it's just at EA Play, and it will be on both of them. And also on PC as well.
This is going to be on Game Pass PC as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So technically, Anthem is on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's here we go.
And in terms of what the vault is, everything basically up until this year's games. So FIFA 21 won't be on there. But FIFA 20 is, and
no, but FIFA 20's been on there for a while.
Yeah, it's been on there. They usually put it on. They seem to put it on. I think probably around like July, like June, July, or whatever. That's when.
I think it's before then as well.
Really?
I think it is before then.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's on before June, July.
But also, there are some decent games on there. Like I know everyone like goes on at EA all the time about stuff, but there are some good games in that vault. There's like all the there's Mass Effect games and Dragon Age and all that kind of thing. There's stuff worth looking at.
Battlefield games, Sims, Skate. Yeah, so to have this, and as Sean was saying there, basically, it's Game Pass Ultimate, and Game Pass Ultimate gets you both Game Pass on console, but also PC. So if you have that and a PC, this also gets you EA Play on PC. So it's insane value if you've got it already, and if you want to get it.
Is it £15 a month for Ultimate?
No. Game Pass Ultimate is $10.99 a month.
I think it's probably meant to be, yeah.
Sorry, no, wait. I'm getting two
Game
answers.
Pass Ultimate is $10.99 a month in the UK. It's 11.
Fuck,
like
is
11
it?
quid.
Christ.
That's pretty mad, isn't it?
Well, this is
considering it.
This is one thing I was going
to.
Something I was going to mention. I don't know. We're probably jumping around a bit, but there's just so much to talk about. So the all access thing, you're basically getting the console on finance, and it includes your 2 years of your Game Pass sub.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that is if you don't already have a Game Pass sub and you're assuming you were going to pay full whack for those 2 years, it is actually a bit of a saving. Like, I was assuming it would work out a little bit more expensive, but it is actually a saving.
Yeah, so
however,
I think it's like a 20 quid saving if you get the S, and it's like a 15 quid extra if you get the X, I think.
Is it all right? It's a bit extra.
Yeah, I think it's slightly more to get the X, but basically it's...
Okay.
But yeah, it's cheaper if you get the S, I think.
What happens?
I don't know how that works. Like, so obviously I'm paid up until like March next year or something. So how would that work?
What happens is it comes with a voucher, really, a 2-year voucher, and you can't stack
so you just activate that.
Yeah, and you can't stack any more than 36 months, so 3 years worth. So what people are saying, well, if you... I've got a Game Pass Ultimate until like June 2022 or something, so were I to get this, then I would wait until I had less than 12 months left on my sub, and then redeem that 2-year voucher. And then,
do you know, I might do that. That sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, because if it's zero interest, why not? It's
what happens if game go bust, which could very possibly happen?
It's financed through Klarna, so
yeah, it's for someone else. Yeah,
and Klarna, I'm pretty sure they're
someone pick up
making
the debt,
bank.
wouldn't
So I wouldn't worry about Klarna going anywhere at any point. It seems like a bit of a no-brainer. Like I not to boast, probably could just afford the S outright, but then be nicer to not have to.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You think you'd go for the S then?
I think I will. Purely because
he hasn't got a 4K telly in his bedroom.
that. Well, this is the
there's
thing,
two things that concern me.
Part of me's like, I don't think I really care about 4K. But then, of course, I've only got a PS4 Pro, so I've not actually seen what proper 4K looks like.
Yeah, it's true.
But I don't know, man. I think the S has got me covered, because I think what I'll do is I'll have that. Like, I'll have the Series S for convenience, and then at some point in the next couple of years, I might invest in one of these fucking stupid NVIDIA cards that they're bringing out. Mm-hmm. And then, so...
like, these stupid... no, never mind. These stupid 2 bits of plastic flapping off the back of a console. Sorry, I thought that's where you were going with that.
So basically, eventually, like, the PC will remain like an absolute tank if I want to do like cool, mega 4K stuff, and I can justify that expense a bit more because that Nvidia card will also help with streaming shit and what have you. So I think the Series S will just be like for convenience, and then eventually the PC will be beefy enough to do 4K stuff.
There's 2 things that concern me about the S. Firstly, I think the design is terrible. I mean, I'm slagging off the design of the PS5. Yeah, I do. I don't like the look of it at all.
Is it just
mainly just that big black?
I was going to say
I'd rather that was
yeah.
just one colour, like across, would look a lot better. It really would.
Yeah, but they're doing it because they don't want to get confused with the One S, obviously.
That's true.
Either that, or they don't want people putting, like, they want to highlight the fact that that's a big vent, and we don't want you putting stuff on top of it. That's also
when I first saw it, I was a bit like, okay, it's different, but I really like the design now. It's so small as well, but I don't mind that big black grille. I mean,
see, because I don't know, man. When people were putting the S and the Series X next to the One X, I was looking at the One X and just going, I forgot how much I like the look of that console. I think it is just so beautiful.
It's absolutely great.
It's so simple and just looks great. But yeah, these two, I mean, they don't look fantastic. I mean, I would say the Series X looks better than the S, but...
I honestly quite like them both.
Okay, all right.
I think like looking at my shelf now, obviously assuming the OG Xbox One ends up in a skip, like I could fit either in, just about. Whereas the PS5 still fucking, who knows where that's going to go. But I mean that the One X is going to like fucking dominate your house, whatever space you put in your consoles in, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when I watched all the unboxings of the models, the YouTubers and stuff, and other tech people received, I mean, I knew the Series X was big, but it's just absolutely ginormous. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I like it, but holy shit, it's massive.
But at least it's because it's the height.
Really? The Series X is massive.
It's huge. Yeah, it's like
I don't know if it's massive. Is it? It's the same width as the One X. It's just like fatter.
It just looks huge compared to the things.
I think when you see the comparison video with the One X, it does look very big. But that's all right.
But crucially, it's not too tall. That's my issue with the PS5. Yeah. Like, in order to get the PS5 in, I would have to. So at the moment, on the top of my shelves, I've got my amplifier, right? So I'd have to move everything down a shelf just so the PS5 could go on the top, because there's no other shelf it could fit in just because of the sheer height of it. Whereas
there's going to be a comparison video comparison photo between the One S for the Series S and the PS5, right? That's the photo I'm looking forward to. That's going to look crazy.
It's going to be a good laugh. But I mean, maybe like we don't know, right? Maybe it'll turn out that the Series X and S are both like sound like a fucking jet engine, whereas the PS5 is like silent.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, so that's always a concern.
Who knows?
I don't want these things to sound loud. No. That's the main thing for me. Okay. Fine, I think that we've covered that, haven't we?
Yeah, so that's, I mean, again, it was all good stuff. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff that came out of this. And, I mean, then later we had, like, the reveal of the Series X cost, which was £449 in the UK, which is also, I mean, that's lower than I was expecting. I think also a pretty good price.
Well, I think the biggest surprise for me when it comes to pricing is that we're so used to $499 in the US, $499 in the UK.
Yeah.
Right, and when they announced that $299 for the Series S, in the US, I was thinking, oh, that's low, but still £300, And I know it's only £50 difference, but it does make a lot of difference. When they said £250 over here, I was like, what? Really? They're dropping £50 from it? And obviously they haven't scaled it for the Series X, in the same way. They've just dropped the same £50 for that. But my word, I wasn't expecting that. I thought $450 was quite crazy,
especially when you think about how weak the pound is, and it's going to get weaker with Brexit and stuff. Like they really are taking a hit. Like they could have overpriced things to compensate for any potential sort of even steeper drop when Brexit probably happens.
I was expecting they price in the Brexit dividend, but they don't seem to have done that.
They have very clearly looked at our current situation, gone, do you know what? No one in the UK is going to have any fucking money. If we want to sell any consoles, This is what needs to be done.
I actually feel sorry for him, said Phil Spencer. Give him a gift.
You'll be throwing him out of a hot air balloon. Going, here you go. It's like
But Sony aren't. This is the thing as well, isn't it? Because if Sony dropped to $499 for the PS5, right, and you consider that might not even be a drop for them. Maybe that was always what they were coming out at, $499, or even say they went, let's undercut that and go for $475 for the PS5, right? It will still be $475 over here, I reckon. They won't make the same allowances for the UK.
Absolutely, it will be more expensive.
So even if they do lowball it in the US, it's still going to be over what the Series X is in over here. So it's going to be fascinating tomorrow, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
I was amazed, really really impressed with the 249, and like you said, Dave, when I heard 499 in the States, I was like, okay, well, £500. But the fact it's 449, I think that does make a big difference. I mean, 249 is just such an incredible price for what is a next gen console. Obviously, there are differences in terms of RAM speed and this and the other, but and it's got a smaller hard drive, which is
that's my other concern. The hard drive
doesn't bother me
smaller,
at all.
Isn't it?
I don't think that matters. It's like you can. I know. Okay, I've got rubbish internet. Like I've got really slow internet. And I still don't really have a massive problem with deleting stuff and then re-downloading things. It's not,
nor do I.
It's not a massive problem. It's just annoying. 500 gig. Although and when I saw that, I thought, okay, Series S sounds and looks amazing, but this hard drive thing is really rather low. But then what devs are and Microsoft are saying is that because of how fast the new machines are, they won't have to duplicate assets, which is what they're basically doing right now to get loading. To get games loading quicker, they're basically duplicating assets. But because they can access it much quicker in these new machines.
The best message from that was when David posted that thing saying that Call of Duty was 1.9 gigabytes. And he was and then the group went silent for a minute, and then he was like, I was joking.
Because the thing is, no longer having to duplicate assets and stuff is definitely true. But then at the same time, they're also telling us that, because everything loads quicker, everything can be loads more detailed and bigger. It's going to be interesting to see how that actually pans out. I think it might just be a net sort of neutral that you've got factors pulling it either way.
But then also with the Series S, it's not 4K textures, so that again should hopefully make these downloads.
Do you reckon they'll have separate downloads though?
They do already, don't they?
Yeah, they already.
That's the whole smart delivery thing, isn't it?
So,
of course.
So 500 gig. I was like, this isn't much at all. But then with the with that ability not to have to duplicate assets, with hopefully also the ability to download games in pieces, which is what they're mentioning. Maybe just download the multiplayer part of a game or single player part of a game. No 4K textures. That does lead me to believe it won't quite be so bad. Obviously,
and compatibility with just existing hard drives, I think, is a big deal. I know, Matt, that you don't seem bothered by that at all, but I think that could be massive.
I know. I thought you weren't bothered, and I am massively bothered. The fact that you basically pretty much have to buy one is new Seagate 1 terabyte SSDs, which I haven't actually confirmed the price yet, but there was a leak.
You don't have to.
$220. I'm hoping it'll be less than that.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to.
That's
why that's so.
Yeah. So
cool.
the issue we're discussing is the fact that if you want to increase your storage, and if you want to use a current hard drive or SSD on the market, you can only use them to store games. You can use them to play backwards compatible games and Xbox One games. But if you want to play a Series S or Series X game, you've got to move that game from external storage onto the internal storage because it's an NVMe drive, and games are apparently being built with this super fast storage in mind.
But if they get the software right, where you see all your games on there regardless of what hard drive they're on, and you press a button and it transfers them over in the matter of a couple of minutes, then perfect.
I mean,
that's fine.
Also,
that's worth saving the extra £200 on a hard drive.
If you want to spend another
£200
after buying an Xbox One S to buy another hard drive, why don't you just buy a One X? A One X?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking I'm going to buy a Series X.
Series X. Sorry.
I'm thinking I'm going to get a Series X and then want to get one of those Seagate things. Because also, Dave, I guess hopefully they might do things in software to make it quicker, but they're still ultimately working with the speeds of current drives. And it maybe you have a super fast external SSD now, but I mean, they're not cheap. But I've got like a standard Western Digital sort of 4 terabyte external, and that won't be a 2-second job to copy over potentially 100 gig game or whatever it is.
Well, how long would you expect that to take? Say, well, it's not going to be a 100 gig game, so let's move that down to about 70, 80 gig. How long do you reckon it would take to copy from a hard drive onto the SSD?
I reckon over 10 minutes.
Over 10 minutes, right? So to save you those 10 minutes, you're willing to spend 250 quid on a new hard drive?
Well, we don't know how much. I'm hoping it'll be between 150 and 200. There. But yeah, definitely.
I can't imagine that. I mean, if someone says, "Oh, we'll play this," I'll go, "Yeah, all right." And then 10 minutes later, we're playing it. It's just that just seems fine. If I've got
then
4
you load up as like, okay, brilliant.
Drive.
There's an update now. There's no like 50 gig to download.
No, yeah, but I'm assuming, I'm hoping that these games on these hard drives update automatically like they would on the SSD anyway. There's no reason why they shouldn't.
No, I mean, hopefully. These are like the little bits of like small print we're still sort of waiting to go on.
These are the questions that we want to hear, and I still think Microsoft have another presentation for us. I think they've still got stuff to show.
I think definitely. I mean, they implied as much when they said it was only like 9 or 15 studios when they had that one in June or July, whenever it was.
Yeah.
So there was an indication there's another one, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they said once they revealed these machines that we've got more to show you soon. So I'm assuming there's going to be another presentation, right? Okay. James,
there's still more because also. So then the other thing that came out after this was people were wondering how is the Series S going to handle like backwards compatibility stuff? Like, is it going to have, because like Xbox One X has all those enhancements, yeah, for like if you put it in. Well, there was like, is it going to do this? And they said no, it's not. Like, it's not going to run. It won't run like even the One X. Like backwards compatibility enhancements,
which makes sense because the One X, the majority of the backwards compatible stuff is the 4K.
Well, this is it, and everyone seemed really shocked by this, and I was like, "Well, yeah, obviously, we know it doesn't do 4K games."
Yeah, I saw loads of big headlines saying, loads of on purpose, sort of confusing headlines to make it sound like it's an absolute like dumpster fire. But obviously, it made sense to me that the Series S. It's not a 4K machine, therefore it wouldn't be getting the 4K enhancements that the One X game's got.
Yeah.
I mean,
although, to be fair, the Series S does do 4K media playback, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is nice.
And I guess like the confusing thing is like the whole...
So does the One S, doesn't it?
Because the One S has got 4K Blu-ray players.
Yeah, it's got 4K output, yeah.
So actually, so there's also a precedent for, a 4K media player that doesn't do 4K games. So it's obvious.
Yes, I believe technically it's got like a 4K output, but not 4K rendering or something. Anyway, but so Series S, it's not going to have these enhanced Xbox One X improvements because most of them, the big ones of them, are the 4K texture packs. But it's still going to have, because you're playing it on the Series S, it's still going to have things like improved frame rates, better quality textures, not 4K. A far better loading, so it's still going.
It'll be fine.
It's got auto HDR, whatever it's called.
It will, and if it's just on a 1080p TV or whatever, it'll still look fine. It's like
exactly.
This is not a big problem at all. But I think people were just looking for things at this stage because everything else was really good, wasn't it? And I think looking for a downside.
Yeah, the negatives I saw with this, and then I saw a few threads of Twitter threads of developers saying they weren't happy, and like the the choice of like the fact it's much slower RAM and less RAM. It's like, how is that going to work for games that work on both, say, PS5 and Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X? But other people are saying, well, you've been creating games for PC for made multiple specs. So how is this any different, really? But I don't know. I think it's saying obviously we're going to find out as once launch happens, and in the coming weeks and months and years, I guess. But it feels a bit of a concern. But also, if you're into that, then you will be basically getting the Series X. But the S for the price is fantastic.
I mean, and ultimately as well, I think we're all assuming the S is going to do incredibly well, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think they're going to have a very good Christmas with
it. And devs are just going to have to follow the audience, right?
Well, it's like they did with the Wii,
if the install base is that big, then it's just going to be worth getting the Series S version right.
Yep.
Also, those complaining are probably putting together a little, an action adventure platformer game that runs on an iPhone. So that's terribly awful of me. Sorry,
and I'm not diminishing. Like, obviously, as a developer, I'm sure it is a pain in the arse to be like, right, cool, new generation, let's cut loose a bit, let's see what we can do, and to then see a spec sheet and be like, oh well, actually, maybe not all that much. Must be disappointing, and it's and it's another configuration to think about. Like, obviously, I get the argument that, as you say, well, you always have to design games for multiple PC specs. It's like, well, yeah, but PC games often have issues as a result, and at least with PC games, there's no certification process to go through, whereas with consoles, it's like things have to be pretty sharp before Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo ever will sign it off. So there are extra layers of fuckery involved. So I get it, but equally, I'm just like, look, Microsoft have opened the gate to so many more people with this, so I can't hate it.
Yeah, it's so much more than we thought, because we thought, okay, the S will be a far lesser version, but this basically seems like it's apart from some very small changes in the fact it doesn't do 4K, it's got which is a lot of the same the rest of the next gen stuff, so it's better than we thought, and a way better price than I really had even hoped, especially after we had the Xbox One all digital version, and that wasn't the low price that some people were sort of hoping for or suggesting it could have been, and we're like, why would you pay? I think this Xbox S all digital version was basically not that much cheaper than a standard One S, and we're like, this feels like a bit of a missed opportunity, but it feels like they've learned, and they've got a really compelling price now for this.
Yeah, okay. And it's with comparisons to smartphones have been a thing now with consoles for a good couple of years, but it's like, how we've seen with smartphones that actually the difference between mid-range smartphones and flagship ones, that gap has been closing for years now, because the few things that set the flagships apart are not huge but incredibly expensive, and now we're seeing that with consoles, because, as you say, it's like, okay, so theoretically the main difference is that the Series X is 4K, whereas the Series S isn't. But which doesn't sound massive, but actually the extra, power required to do that is fucking huge. My PC can run anything at 1080p 60 frames and cannot run a single thing in 4K. That's how big the gulf in power required to do it is. So yeah, it's like, if you're happy to make that decision that you don't need 4K games, then brilliant, save £200. Why not?
Yeah, and another angle, I didn't think for streamers or people who like that. Obviously, currently you can't stream any more than 1080 60 on Twitch, and I'm not sure if maybe that might be different for YouTube. But so if your console is plugged into your PC or every day, which mine is, this might be a better bet than getting a 4K machine where you can't even see 4K. So it's it's really interesting what they've done.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, we're back on to talking about this stuff. Let's move on. Let's move on. James.
So the other thing that happened was that today, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate cloud gaming launched today. With it's over 168 games. That's on Android and phones and tablets. So that's good, I guess.
Well, hang on. I've just realised. So it launches today. They said it wasn't called xCloud. So its official name is what? cloud gaming.
I don't know. It's just
It's
called,
it's not Project X Cloud anymore.
No. I mean, they said that wasn't the final name, and actually, scrolling down the story, there's no mention of xCloud.
What you're saying is that delayed. Delayed there.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm trying to. What's it actually? Is it actually just called cloud gaming?
It's called it seems to be called cloud gaming with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Which is
Matt, did you brand this?
but then later down, like the words cloud gaming aren't capitalized. It's like, is that? Yeah, well, that can't be the full name. Cloud gaming with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, surely.
It probably is. Come on, they make a
name for it in that case. I don't think because that can't be the name.
So this is interesting. So I'm just looking now. So so if you were part of the, whatever they called it, early access beta, it was a separate app, and it was called like Game Streaming Preview. Whereas so now on Android, it's all just folded into the Game Pass app. So it's like, here's what you can get on console and PC, and now there's just a new tab for cloud stuff as well.
Okay, yeah. So it's not its own product. It's part of the Game Pass product.
Yeah.
Okay. I get. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay, then we've got these whole thing about how apparently Microsoft held talks to buy Bungie. This was reported like online, obviously, like Eurogamer talked about it. It's apparently they'd held these acquisition talks, and it was VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb who said that he'd heard Microsoft and Bungie had been in these discussions, although they'd been unable to agree on a sale price. But then Bungie's boss, Pete Parsons, came out and said this is false. There's not any talks or anything like that going on. But then Microsoft haven't said anything either. So that's that.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of Bungie going back is crazy, but who knows? But I guess these sorts of things must happen all the time. It's not really news. It's interesting for sure. But I think in one of the pieces we read, they said actually like other people have heard rumors that Microsoft they want to do acquisitions, but it's not necessarily studios. It's more like games, getting them exclusively on Game Pass.
I know, this is the thing we were talking about.
Well, it's not so much exclusive, is it? It's just a launch on Game Pass, I think, was the idea. And I what we were saying in the between the four of us off air was I've never framed it like that before. I've never thought of it like that before. The fact that instead of Microsoft looking for Xbox exclusive games, they want to buy games to launch on Game Pass.
I know.
Because it feels like an exclusive then, doesn't it? I mean, when a game launches that people get excited for and they're saying, yeah, it's 15 to 20 quid on PS5 or the Nintendo Switch, but if you've got Game Pass on there, it makes Microsoft look really, really good.
Just imagine, if Microsoft, how much money they could throw at CG Projekt to end up with Cyberpunk on it.
Especially if they're using the money that they would traditionally use to try and capture games as exclusive for their console. If they're saying we're no longer doing that, we're just spending that money to buy a game to launch on Game Pass. It's better for the publisher because they're like, what? You're giving us all this money and we can still sell it on PS5 and the Nintendo Switch. Well, yeah, because that way Game Pass looks increasingly more valuable. It looks like even more of a bargain. More people are going to sign up to it. It just makes that then just makes sense in my head.
And that's exactly maybe I'm crazy or whatever. The new Destiny expansion Beyond Light that is launching straight onto Game Pass day one. Yeah,
this is it. But as you said, the one. I mean, I can't see Cyberpunk doing this, James. I really can't.
No, but
I can't see that launching on Game Pass.
That'd be so huge.
But if it did, I mean, that would be crazy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be
and I can't see it happening for Cyberpunk, but I can see a big game launching straight to Game Pass in the near future, where Microsoft just go, why should we try and get it as an exclusive for our thing when we can just pay probably a little bit less and get it to launch on Game Pass? That's I suppose the difference there is that when they pay for exclusivity, the studios still get a big cut of the sales on that, right? So the studio then loses out on that side of things. They
I
just
suppose.
get the initial payment.
So you'd still be selling copies on the other format, but you've essentially cannibalized sales on the Xbox, haven't you, or PC? But,
Yeah, so I suppose that would be the downside, and the only thing stopping people from doing that.
Are there still microtransactions, Sean, in Destiny 2 these days?
There are, but it's all cosmetic stuff. I mean, there's certainly an argument there. Yeah, Bungie might be looking at it as, well, we've got a load of money to let a load of people essentially play it for free, but then that's more people looking at the microtransactions.
Yeah.
I mean, I've all but ignored them in the entire time I've played Destiny 2. I don't know anyone who actually puts a fair bit of money into that stuff.
I mean, as I've said before, this is the only other slight thing that concerns me a bit with Game Pass, is how this may change how games are made. In terms of it becomes about getting people in at a low thing and then selling the microtransactions, in the same way.
It's either that or it's one day Microsoft just going actually, do you know what? We can't throw any more money at this, and then it'll just get worse, and then we'll be at a point where we sort of resent having to pay for games again.
It's like games with gold.
There's also there's also
what?
potentially the developer side of things as well, which we don't know a lot about. We know that people have made a lot of money out of this at the moment. The things are good, but then if you look at other services, they talked about this on Games Industry Biz yesterday, about how there's this. There was a really good pod actually. It's definitely worth listening to. Where one of the guys was talking about how, if you look at things like Spotify, how that's worked out for artists long term, has not really been great.
Badly. Well, it never was.
Yeah, because even short term, that was bad for them.
And Netflix is pissing money left, right, and centre, isn't it?
I mean, it's these servers, this is brilliant for us at the moment. It really is. I totally agree. I think it's brilliant, but there are slight concerns I still feel with this.
Yeah.
But at the moment,
as it currently stands, consumers are happy. As far as I'm aware, devs and publishers are happy. If anyone is losing money, it must be Microsoft. I mean, Phil Spencer said it, vaguely. He said it is working out financially.
But he has to say that. He can't come out and just say we're losing money, hand over fist.
We're fucked. No, but he can stay silent, can't he?
Yeah, or he could.
Well, no, he can't. He can't even do that.
More people asking the question.
He could equally vaguely say it's a long-term strategy. What do you want me to say?
But then people go, so you're losing money.
But if they are, I'm basically happy with that. If the only people losing out are Microsoft,
sure,
and they've got the money to burn, then fuck it. I don't, I'm happy with that. I can live with it.
It's fine.
I just don't want console gaming to end up like mobile gaming. I'm just terrified that's going to happen one day.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like an office Christmas pie and a free bar, innit? And you're just going, I will have the Jack Daniels instead of your house whiskey. To be honest, I will go for the expensive stuff. There'll be whiskey drinkers out there laughing that I'm referring to Jack Daniels as the expensive stuff. There, I get that. Please don't email in. But you get the point. You get the joke. It was a joke. All right, just chill out.
Calm down.
Put your pad down.
Should we move on to some other news?
Yeah.
Which is that
I was thinking iPad, but I said pad.
That Sony have confirmed that there's going to be a showcase on the 16th, so that'll be on the day that this comes out anyway. So that'll be today that this will have happened. And we got what was the invite? It said we're going to talk about upcoming games for PS5 and stuff, and it's going to be 40 minutes long. And I think we're going to be talking over it as well, so that should be good.
So we're doing. So it's if you listen to this on Wednesday tonight at 9 o'clock, we're starting talks over on twitch.tv/TCGS from about 10 to 9. And the description of the event is our next digital showcase will weigh in around 40 minutes and feature updates on the latest titles from worldwide studios and our world-class development partners.
No mention of price there. At all, or anything like that, or of any hardware.
They'll announce a price.
Can you imagine if they don't know?
Imagine if they don't. Fucking imagine it.
I mean, they might not.
They will. No, they absolutely will.
I mean, I think they have to do... they don't have to do anything, but I feel like it would make sense if they did something before pre-orders of the Xbox Series consoles comes out.
If they don't,
they've got to.
The internet will be quite angry, I think.
Oh my god, it'd be hilarious. I can't wait.
But that's just the internet. Everyone else, the other millions and billions of people who don't care. I can see it would be amazing if they didn't. It would just be hilarious. But I don't know.
I just because Sony have got form for just being like, no, fuck you, ours is better.
Yeah.
Deal with
Exactly.
Or just ignoring what people are saying.
Yeah. And they've got, as we've said, they've got that significant lead. And on like James saying, the gamesindustry.biz podcast, which is very good. It's got me listening to it as well now. They were saying like ultimately like Sony's lead is big enough that like we don't 100% know if what Microsoft is doing with the Series S and Game Pass, we don't know if it is a viable long-term strategy. And Sony might just be like, well, let's see how it pans out. Let's keep doing things as we normally do them. And like so maybe Microsoft is going to fall on its ass. Who knows?
Because that's the thing. We're assuming that it's going to work because it's good for us at the moment.
Yeah.
Like it sounds good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it will definitely.
But I've been saying this for weeks and months. Like Sony have got such a massive lead already in this gen, like 110 million consoles to Microsoft's 50 million. Mm-hmm. That is enough people that will just buy the next PlayStation regardless. This thing could be 600 quid and it will still sell out. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
And then that's why the key thing is getting people on Game Pass, because that's clearly what their strategy is. Like,
and also getting people and offering a £250 console.
Yeah,
I think yes, they have got a head start, but when a consumer is choosing a next gen console and there's a £250 option versus a say £400 option,
but that's true.
No,
but
because
then
if all the
also
mates
then
play on
people
PlayStation, they're like, well, I that's great, but I would like a PlayStation 5 because that's where we were playing COD for the last few years.
Not just that,
you're
then
talking 2 or 3 years
do.
down the line, and if Microsoft come out because no doubt, I think at the start of next year you're going to hear so many next gen Xboxes sold, and it will be more than PS5s. I think with after for like 3 months there'll be press releases, and that could start the snowball.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
But I think
where people going,
all that Sony have to do though is they just have to come out and say, yeah, but our console that we're releasing, the PS5, it's a fully formed like next gen console. The Series S isn't. I know that's not the case, but that's all they need to say. Is they just
even though it's less powerful.
What do you mean? If it's not less powerful than the Xbox Series S, is it?
No, it's not. But the Series X is more powerful.
I know,
but just as an aside, have you seen like people going like, the Series S CPU runs at 3.6 gigahertz, whereas the PlayStation 5 one runs at 3.5. Therefore, technically, actually, the Series S is slightly faster. Yeah. No, it's fucking not. It's not that simple.
No,
Jesus Christ.
It's not. Yeah, that was what was it? IGN started that, I think.
Did they?
No,
I think
IGN
it's Tom Warren from
article.
Verge.
Yeah.
Silly.
Okay, I saw it. So I saw the article from IGN. To be fair, but fine. Okay, look, listen. We don't know yet. There's so many variables in the way. Let's do a quick round of predictions, shall we? Sean, PS5 launch price UK.
Mate, I honestly think they're going to do like 600 quid.
600 quid. And digital?
500.
600 quid.
£610. Right, okay, 500. Matt?
I reckon digital 400 and the other one 475.
475. James?
I reckon the disc one 499 and the without a disc 399.
Will they call it disc one without a disc? so 399. Okay, so my prediction is PS5 550 and then the digital 450. That's where I reckon they're going to go with that.
Yeah, so just
they do that.
I mean, I think 399 for digital, yeah, for sure. I think I said 400, but
they're dead in the water if they do those prices, Dave. I really think.
I don't know, man.
Why have you directed that at me when Sean said 600?
Well, yeah. Also, yeah, Sean, you're mad. There's no way
I was
they'll
going to
do
say,
that.
yeah, what he's saying there is that, well, Sean's obviously talking shit.
Yeah.
I will engage with Dave.
Because it's a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Launch date. Sean.
Oh, fuck. When's the Microsoft ones again?
10th.
I reckon it's going to be a little bit later.
Well, yeah, it can't be earlier.
2 weeks later? So...
You tell us.
So 24th.
24th, yeah.
24th of November. James?
Friday the 20th.
Nice. Actually, yeah, what day of the week is 25th?
Matt.
Shit.
Tuesday the 17th.
Matt.
I just said
Tuesday
Tuesday
17th.
Yeah.
Okay, I've actually got 20th of November written down as well. So,
Because what is it?
James, we agreed
busiest-
finally after all these years.
Because busiest Christmas sales weeks are end of November, beginning December, aren't they? So it's got to be.
Shit, when's
So Thanksgiving is on
course.
Thursday the 26th, Black Friday 27th, and then Cyber Monday on the 30th.
20th, then. 20th, I think that's a good shout. Right,
Yeah, probably a bit late for that.
Any surprise? I want a surprise prediction, Sean.
Fuck. Shit. I've not thought of anything.
Fuck and shit.
Fuck and shit. All the F's and S's, mate. I mean, we already know what From Software are doing. There's going to be no surprises there. It's going to be Elden Ring, right? We know we're going to see that. I'm trying to think of the big something new from Team Eco. Maybe they technically still exist, even if the wave is gone.
Okay, James.
Oh, this is really hard because I don't think they got anything.
Come to you this time.
I don't think they got anything.
I see. I've got two ideas, and I'm flicking between them.
Okay,
But go
I
on.
reckon it will launch with Demon Souls. There you go.
Oh, that's
Oh, yeah, I was
not
gonna say that.
that's not a wild left field prediction, though, is it?
I don't think so either. I don't think we can
All right, well, don't.
take
Well,
that, James.
what else am I supposed to go for? I've no idea. I've absolutely no idea.
I mean, you could say no entry.
All right,
you
okay.
can
I've
ban
got it.
out
I've got
this
it. I've
one
got
if
it.
you want.
Okay. They are going to
Go on.
roll PlayStation Plus into PS Now, and they're going to announce that. There you go.
Okay. No.
Not going to happen, but go on.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Matt.
So this is what stuff we might see at the showcase.
Yeah, just one.
I mean,
one
just a
outlandish...
surprise. A surprise that happens. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon
But
they'll
the-
tease a new Uncharted game.
That's a good shout.
Uncharted.
That's a
I
good
don't know,
idea.
man. I think
Okay.
Naughty Dog are pretty much done with Uncharted.
No,
now,
but they
aren't
got another studio that they've got apparently
Okay.
working on something.
Farm
Yeah,
it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So my two that I can't decide between is either they're going to show different colours for the flaps, and possibly flapless.
They're not going to be
Fine.
flapless. It's been
think
designed
they
for
will.
that, for airflow. They'll be.
No, it hasn't, Matt. That is something that you've made up in your head.
I'm
Sorry,
fairly
that
sure
never
that is
happens.
the case.
It's something you've heard on Kind of Funny and just gone, well, that's fact. They're just bits of plastic.
Yeah, but what? But this is the design. Why would I say here we go without the flaps on? Like that.
Okay,
this is
right,
the PlayStation
here's-
5, not
okay.
the one without the flaps on.
Here's the question. Here's the question, right? So the air is coming out of those vents around the sides, yeah?
Yeah.
So what is what are those flaps doing in terms of airflow, Matt?
It's pushing it away from the machine, I presume.
It's not pushing it anywhere.
No, because
it's
the
just
air
a
comes out of
flap.
that black bit,
Yeah.
and then those white flaps, I assume, like take it further away from the case. I mean, I think
It
it's
might,
airflow.
it might be
related.
like a
They
weird.
take it further away from the case.
Yeah, it could be like
Yeah,
a
They
weird
take
like
it
contouring thing. Like so with a PC, right? You have all the fans
Okay.
inside it and everything. You take the side off a PC, it fucks the airflow because of
the air's
physics.
designed to
I
go a
don't
certain
know.
way.
So yeah, it's possible that whatever something about the design of those fins, flaps, whatever you want to call them, is assisting with the airflow somehow.
I think definitely. So any way to get
Right.
heat out of that machine.
Yeah.
So when you put it in your TV unit, under your TV unit,
You'll
on
be
its
mental
side,
to do that. Don't do that.
on its don't put it in a TV unit because the flaps
it won't fit-
need
it won't
the
fit.
space
Don't bring
around
TV
it.
in it because it might overheat. Is what I'm saying.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
There's gonna
Right, what you're saying.
Do you reckon there's gonna
You're
be-
saying you're going to get home and take the flaps off.
Can I change?
Can we stop talking about
Possibly,
flaps?
but I've got another one. I've got another one.
No,
My
what
other
was
one-
that first one, Dave? About the flaps?
Personally, I think that you're going to be able to buy customizable ones, different colors from
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Sony branded, different colors, right? But I'm thinking either between that or they turn around and they say if you buy a PS5, you get 6 months of PS Now for free. And they'll think that's a big deal. And no one will
Do you know, I don't think...
that'll be their answer to
I'll let you have
Game
that
Pass.
because they'll never do that because they don't. I mean, even Sony doesn't know that PS Now exists. I don't think they'll.
I think you'll get like a 2-week trial or month trial in the box.
Okay.
2 weeks. Yeah, that sounds about
I'm going to
right.
stick with, because I think it's more outlandish. I'm going to go with customizable flaps.
Okay, wait. I mean, customizable from Sony, I think, no. Obviously, third parties will make them, but...
Yeah, assuming they're
Yeah,
removable.
I mean,
flaps.
they're being made to be removed and replaced. That's what I reckon.
Do we
Right, no, I
reckon
don't
that we're
think
going to
so at all.
see them announcing that this is coming in different colours, like just in general, or not?
I don't think they will.
No,
because
because I think that's what. No, they'll show the white one and they'll say, "Hey, you don't like the white? Why don't you try it in red or blue?"
What about the
Buy
controller
these
and
ones."
stuff? Like, they're going to like black controller as well, or what do you think?
I think for launch, just white.
I mean, they did for the PS4, right? You could buy different colour ones for PS4 launch, I think.
Could you?
I don't think at the launch.
just
no.
black.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not.
I think the white
Okay.
one was the
launch.
Destiny 2 one, wasn't it, or something?
Okay. All right. We'll see. We'll see.
I mean, I've got another one. Are we limited to one or what?
No, we got one.
No. Well, okay, my other one, which
Why?
won't be counted, but I think, maybe a God of War 2 tease as well. I feel like they're going to have
because I would have said that would be a better shout than the Uncharted one, to be honest with you. But
Can I
I'll
also
switch.
predict
too
that to
obvious.
demonstrate the airflow capabilities of the flaps, they turn on a PS5 and hold like a block of butter over it,
Yes.
and then it melts. And they're like, look, that's how much heat.
Yeah.
That's how much heat is taken away.
They just say, look, if you
They
take
cook an
these
egg
off,
on
it red rings. Look, it red rings. Just
Okay, David, can I
Another
change
thing-
one from Uncharted to God of War 2 then?
no,
No, we can.
we asked for you predict. No one else has got extra time. Why do you deserve extra time to
They
get
can
your
make extra
prediction?
time if they want extra time.
Well, okay. Let's ask James, Matt. Are you happy with? Sorry, James, Sean. Are you happy with Matt to change his answer?
Yeah, whatever. It's all going to be nonsense anyways.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Sean.
James. Did you just say
I
no?
said no. Yeah, I think
Okay.
he's made the decision. He's got to live with it.
He's pissed in his bed, got line.
Big wet bed.
Okay. All right. Well, that's 2 votes to no. You're staying with Uncharted, Matt. I'm afraid.
Okay, sweet.
Right. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Next news story.
Okay, so while all this is going on, Nintendo have apparently asked developers to get games 4K ready, in inverted commas. So yeah, this came from there was a Bloomberg report that was talking about there'd been this 20% increase in Switch production shipments or whatever. But then apparently Nintendo have also asked third-party developers to do this. But obviously Nintendo have not commented in any way on this at all, but this is what's been said.
Right. And obviously, the message they've given developers isn't that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun to pretend it is. Could you imagine? Could you imagine, like, the amount of struggle it is to get 4K games to work on hardware, right? The amount of work that goes into that. There's the whole dev team in a studio there, so they're sitting down somewhere, picking up the phone. Hello? Oh, hi, Nintendo. How are you doing? Get your game 4K ready. Okay, but to what specs? Hello?
I can just see all the this guy walking back to tell the engineers there's we've got to make it 4K, and then just like picking up switches and throwing them against walls and stuff, and just being absolutely furious.
Yeah. Okay, what processor are we going to use to make this 4K? We don't know. It's just possibly, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but all the buzz. When a rumour sort of bubbles up in a certain way, you know that it's based on some sort of truth. I think this Nintendo announcing a new version of the Switch next year, I think it's got that feeling, hasn't it, where enough people are saying it and dropping little hints here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to happen next year, but it'd be really interesting to see how that works out. I mean, the fault of playing Mario Odyssey, like their games, and we've said this before, their console is a lot weaker than the ones we're playing on at the moment, right? Compared to the Xbox One X, the PS4 Pro, and even the PS4 and the Xbox One, the Switch hasn't got as much power. Yet some of their games look so beautiful that you wonder how it runs on the bloody thing. It's pretty stunning in places, some of their stuff. And, it's usually down to stylized graphics and obviously, the software developer working with the hardware and the architecture that they created. But the idea of playing some of those games in 4K, it's going to be good. Are they going... The big question I've got, Sean, is are they then going to go back to this All-Stars game and redo bits? I suppose we'll find out.
No, probably not.
God, what if they drop it in March and they launch with All Stars 3D 4K? And now Mario 64's widescreen. Another 50 quid, please. Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah. Let's see what happens next year.
Okay. So finally, I mean, these are two bits of news that are kind of not one in the same, but obviously very connected. Which is that, I mean, Ubisoft's Yves Guillemot came out and did another address about the controversies that there's been obviously around the company. So he offered his apologies for what he called internal issues that have come to light recently. And then talking about what they were going to do in response, he said, this summer we learned that certain Ubisoft employees did not uphold our company's values and that our systems failed to protect the victims of their behaviour. I'm truly sorry to everyone that was hurt. He then said that the company had taken what he called significant steps to sanction or remove those that had violated its values and code of conduct, and it was working hard to improve its systems and processes. And then he said the company was also focusing on improving diversity and inclusivity at all levels of the company, etc., and that they were going to invest $1 million in a graduate program for underrepresented groups, like for women and people of colour. But then also, he said, I'm determined to do everything in my power to ensure that everyone at Ubisoft feels welcomed, respected, and safe. And then he also addressed the Tom Clancy Elite Squad, Black Lives Matter thing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this is weird because he didn't reference it. He kind of did it sort of indirectly by saying that content that was inappropriate in a recent mobile game, but then didn't name what the game was, and then just said, that they stand for equality and respect for all, and they said anyone using our games as a proxy for hate or toxicity, was not right, and that this was an oversight that can't happen. And they also made a donation to the NAACP Legal Defence Fund in support of Black Lives Matter, but for some reason, they couldn't attach this video to the Ubisoft forward that happened shortly after.
Due to time constraints, guys. Come on, it's really hard to add another video.
That's not what angers me. That's not what angers me. If they wanted to do a completely separate video to this Ubisoft Play thing, what do they call it?
Ubisoft Forward.
Yeah. Right. If they wanted to do a completely separate issue to issue completely separate video to issue an apology and address things, I think that's fine, right? I don't think it necessarily had to be attached to their main marketing video, right? What I will say is that if you are going to do that, it needs to be completely separate.
Yeah, it needs to be proper
and what I mean
timing.
by that is release it very soon after all this stuff was going on.
Yeah.
Right? Release it, highlight it, all your socials everywhere, right? And make it standalone and make that point. Don't release it just before releasing your big marketing video, because to me, that reads like we've issued this now because in a couple of hours' time, we hope all of this is overshadowed by all the games that we're showing.
Absolutely.
And, I watched that video and I said, in terms of what they were saying, fine. Okay, it was in terms of an apology video, there's always a sense of I don't feel this is genuine enough. I always get that feeling when watching those videos. But I think what they were saying, okay, the timing of them putting that video out, I thought was wrong. And the fact that it was him saying it, who, as we've said before, if he wasn't involved or didn't know about any of this stuff was going on, then he fucking should have been.
Yeah.
So why is he still
either
there?
complicit
Also,
or grossly incompetent.
It's one of the two.
Sorry, go on, James.
No, it's like the way he says, this summer we learned that certain Ubisoft employees, and it's like, this has been going on for ages.
Yeah, and employees, on Twitter have been saying, no, we've been flagging this up for years. And the fact that, loads of the people who've gone are, Eve's fucking best mates.
Yeah.
The studio manager who signed off on the weird sort of anti-Black Lives Matter stuff was his son, who he made studio manager straight out of university.
Also, people left with stock options anymore. And all that, didn't they? They weren't some people left and were not fired. They just left.
Oh yeah, they just got to quietly leave and will probably just pop up somewhere else and hope no one notices.
Yeah, this still is awful, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that
it is awful. Yeah, sorry.
But you're right. It's the fact that it really feels like we got to get this out, and then now just forget about all that. Look at these games we've got coming out. That's the thing,
Yeah,
and it's just
that's what it feels
and
like.
that's awful.
So if you're going to do it on the same day as your big marketing push, then attach it to the video.
Yeah.
I think if they were to do this with 2 weeks gap in between, right? So people could, I mean, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking down the wrong track then. Maybe I'm thinking, actually, if you separate it out and make a proper apology, then fine. But then how many people are going to see that? Whereas if you attach it to your Ubisoft Forward, anyone that wants to be interested in Ubisoft games is going to see that.
Yeah, but I see your logic of like, if they'd done it more quickly, then it would have, like you say, it would have felt like them going like, fuck, we need to address this immediately because it's really fucking bad. Whereas this felt like, let's put this out so not as many people shout at us, but B, separately so that not as many people see it. And it's like, it's like they're trying to have the cake and eat it. And it's...
Well, and any news report, if you search Ubisoft between now and then, you're going to see a lot of marketing video content.
Yeah.
Whereas if you separate it out and you search Ubisoft, all the news stories, the top news stories, are going to be about that apology.
Yeah.
See,
that's the other thing as well. It's the Googling.
Yeah, but also someone responded to that apology video saying should have added this to the Ubi Forward event. Not only people are going to see it compared to the online event that's going to happen. And then Ubisoft responded saying, "We hear you. Due to time constraints, we chose to release the video as a standalone message before our Ubisoft Forward event. But we're working to ensure it will be available in full in the VOD versions. It isn't available in the VOD versions.
Is it not?
That was a reaction. That was a reaction.
Yeah.
And
but then at least follow through.
I mean, but it's not. It feels. How long would it have taken to have just edited that at the start of your video?
And they also had loads of pre-show stuff. They could have put there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's not.
It's absolute horseshit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel sorry for the poor sod. Who's handling the Twitter account, but fuck it. It's awful all around.
Stand up, and be counted. You fucked up. Stand up and be counted.
I really wish that he would do like an interview or something with somebody to like talk about all of this. Like, as in...
I don't want to hear I don't want to hear from him.
No. To talk about what they're planning, what he says that he's doing all these things to it. I'd like to see him get like interrogated on all this as what they actually are doing.
Because at the moment all we're getting is like, bits from like investor calls and stuff, and he has been, questioned about it. And this is it, and it's like, oh great, he's done a big I'm sorry video. It's like, because he's been caught and he's trying to keep his fucking job.
Yeah, which is why I'd like to see him then explain exactly what is going on. Here,
and I don't doubt that he is going to do something about it, but only because he's been caught. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, Ubisoft have to make some big changes.
Yep.
They need to make some big changes, and I was hoping that they were going to address all this stuff pretty sharply, but it doesn't seem like they have.
Well, yeah, and
it's really disappointing.
Going back a couple of weeks now, but there was a thing on Gamer Sutra, basically, employees still saying, still feeling they have to say anonymously that things haven't changed all that much yet, and I understand. I don't know. Do I? I was going to say I understand these things take time, but it has been months now, and as we've said, they've known for years. So, I don't know.
Let's not forget the accusations being made towards Ubisoft were absolutely horrific as well. Yeah. It wasn't just office banter that seemed to have gone too far.
Oh yeah, it was full on abuse, like
out and out sexual assault.
Yeah, and
abuse,
and like Eve saying like, oh, it's a few people who don't reflect, like, our... I can't remember the phrase he uses, but basically our ethos.
The values of the Ubisoft family or whatever.
Like, well, whose fucking values? If it's all the management...
Yeah.
Like, what is Ubisoft?
Well, no, forget the stuff that was going on didn't just not reflect your values, it didn't reflect the law.
Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not, it's not a value thing. Yeah. It's not because your 5 points of values are all be good to each other and stuff like that. Don't give a fuck about that. It's people's lives, you know what I mean, that have been affected like this in a major way. It's just not good enough. No. So, what are they going to hope happens? That things get swept under the carpet? Because these days that doesn't happen so easily, does it? So let's see.
Okay, I mean, do you want to talk about the Ubisoft Forward or not?
I mean,
not really.
I mean, fucking
I
hell.
didn't watch it. I don't really want to talk about it.
I mean, the fact, like, if you know, so say a year ago, a time portal opened up and Sean from 2020 burst out of it and said, "Oh, guess what? Ubisoft are actually going to re-release the Scott Pilgrim game." And I go, "Oh, that's fucking brilliant news." And I go, "Well, no, it's not, because you're not going to want to give them any money by that point. You'll find out." Like, I've been waiting for that for fucking years, and I'm still just like, nah, fuck it, I don't care. I'll emulate the PS3 version. I legally own it. I don't give a shit. I
never really liked that game anyway. It was really weird. It was one of those games that never clicked with me at all.
Maybe I'm biased because I loved the graphic novels and the film and everything about it, and the game was like this massive convergence of devs I liked, an artist I liked, a band that I like, and based on a book and film I liked. So it was,
I don't know, people loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people that loved that game, but it was one of those I just couldn't. I was like,
yeah.
All right,
yeah.
And they go, "Isn't it great?" And I was, okay, is it? Okay, sure.
For anyone who's not aware, the reason this is, a big deal to a lot of people is because, it's not just like, oh, it's getting a port. It's like it was pulled from sale due to mysterious licensing issues that no one's ever been clear on. So it's this game has not been available for some time. So it's not just that it's getting ported; it's that you can now play it again. But yeah,
so got to remove all the music. All the music now is Johnny Be Good. so what's going to happen? Oh, for fuck's sake!
So as I say, I've been waiting for this for years, and despite that, even hearing the news, I'm like, I'm not giving Ubisoft any money for the time being, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. So, yeah. That's the end of the news.
That's all the news.
Fucking hell, James. All right, cheers for that. Like, this is what that gap was about, but that is fine, that one. Right. Should we get to what you've been playing? It's not going to be a massive long section this week. No. So, I do want to start by just mentioning briefly a game that we've already spoken about that has completely taken over my life this week, and that is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remake. I've now 100%ed it and fully statted up my dude, and I'm absolutely gutted that it's over because I don't know what happened, but things flipped in my head and I started playing it like I used to play it in the old days, and I got obsessed with it. I got absolutely obsessed with it. I went from getting like scores of like 40,000 in 2 minutes to literally after just something clicking, I was getting like 400,000, and I was just like, right, cool. Now I can go to every map and complete all of the score challenges with ease. And I did that. So that took me once it clicked with me, that took me an hour to go through the rest of the maps and get all of the score challenges. So that was done. Then it was all about trying to find all the icons and, the skate stuff and all that. And I did all that in the space of a week, and now I'm gutted that it's over. I want to do it all again. I've heard that they've changed the way that the characters work. So if you switch your characters, all of the I think I heard this on Giant Bomb. All of the goals that you try and achieve on each level, they remain ticked. They remain done, and it's only the stat points that reappear. So that bums me out a little bit because I wouldn't mind doing it all again. But that doesn't seem to be an option. I've had a quick look at the custom modes and stuff, and like the custom levels, and they don't seem very good. So I probably won't be going through those. But yeah, what a fantastic game! What a fantastic game, and the amount of work that they put into it to make it look so much better is, as we said. I don't know if we said this last week or in the chat or whatever, but it really does put that 3D All-Stars to shame because they've actually put a hell of a lot of work to make these games look fantastic. Obviously, they're much smaller games and stuff, but
it's done very well.
Yeah,
it sold crazy numbers, 2 million or so. Yeah,
what was it? The fastest selling Tony Hawk game of all time.
Yeah, crazy.
When you think about how much of a culture phenomenon that was, when by the time the third one had come out, that's pretty impressive. I absolutely adore that release, and I am totally gutted that it's gone, and I just pray that they're gonna announce Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 as DLC or something, because I'd buy that straight away. I mean, the menus are set up for it. Like, it's all
Do you reckon
there.
they'll do it as DLC and not like a new standalone?
I think they will. They couldn't get away with just doing it as a standalone. I mean, will they?
I mean, I think I also heard...
maybe there'll be people...
Sorry.
Go on.
I think I also heard on Giant Bomb, I think they're saying, it could be a platform. I mean, it could be a platform, but like, it's called 1 and 2. Like, it's just weird to have 3 in there. Like, they could have called it
they could just
Tony
call it
Hawk's
Tony Hawk's Pro
Remake and
Skater.
have old games added in as DLC. But
Yeah. And I mean, if you're not releasing it as a standalone, are you losing sales on that? Maybe there'll be a standalone version for like 30 quid and DLC if you own the previous 2 for 20 quid or so. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, but the thing is, there's options there and there's an audience there. So, I mean, I know I would buy it straight away.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because I love number 3. And yeah, to get to play that again would be great. But I have absolutely adored that release. So I don't know what I'm going to do now, though, because I kind of want to delete my save and do it all over again, because that's what I used to do in the old days. But
that really. I wonder if they'll patch that in. That really sucks. So you can't I'm now going to play as another skater and start again.
That's it. Like, it's the opposite is what I want to do. I want to keep my statted up guy and just
have set a start new character.
All the goals again. I don't even know if I want to do that, because I quite like the fact that it's such a big difference once you get those stats up. It makes such a huge difference to how you play that game. I just want to bomb through all of the goals as quickly as I can, like in each level. Maybe that is an option. I don't know. Maybe I need to look into it. Those, as you say, those menus can be quite confusing. So maybe I've missed something. But yeah, it's great. Great stuff.
You could. Would it be crazy to set up like a different user on where you're playing Xbox?
Yeah, I mean, I could do. Maybe it's time to hurry up a profile
and then just play it through that
Xbox. Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I'll work something out. I'll do it. But yeah, cracking game, cracking release. The other game we really need to talk about. We avoided talking about it last week because we didn't want to bombard people. But Tell Me Why is now done. Right, the third episode's out. We've all played it. What are your overall thoughts without talking about the story? Because we got another spoiler cast to get to, Sean.
So I think committing to doing the spoiler cast on time every week made me like it less than I probably could have.
Why were you rushing through it?
Yeah, just and it's not the game's fault. There's just been other things I've wanted to play, and I've just sort of resented having to make sure I fit it in every week. So I think maybe my final judgment on it is not going to be entirely fair. That said, anyone who's listened to episode 2 of the spoiler cast will know that I think we all had some criticisms of it. I do think the third episode pulled it round pretty well.
It did in the second half.
That's the thing. See, I'd say that
I thought the opening of the third one was pretty poor.
Yeah.
But
I'd say this is...
I think they landed it all right. In the end, but I don't think it's going to be something I carry with me in the same way I have Life is Strange 1 and 2.
No, absolutely not.
But yeah,
it's a two episode story in a 3-episode game. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, maybe it's just the length that it's suffered because of that. Character, quite a limited cast as well. It's just I don't know, it just doesn't have as much room to breathe as Life is Strange 1 or 2 did, has it?
Yeah, as we said on the spoiler cast, it's weird that you're looking at a set of characters in this small town, but most of the characters that you meet have a big impact on the community of that town.
Yeah,
you don't see any of the community. They just don't exist. They're not there. It's so bizarre. I think my main regret for doing the spoiler cast really is more of a selfish one. Doesn't reflect on how my opinion of the game. I think these are usually moral choice games where we have big arguments. The reason we do spoiler casts, it's fun to talk about the decisions we made. Decisions aren't really a factor in this. No. They really aren't. Yeah. I mean, there's a decision that you make at the end, but even then it doesn't change the ending that much. This is more... It was just getting some points across. I will say this, though, right, is that one of the talking points going into this series was the highlight that one of the main characters is transgender. And by the time you get to episode 3, it's like when you start, it's all about Tyler's transition, and it's all focused around his story. And then by the time you get to episode 3, it's such a non-story. Like it. Do you know what I mean? It's not a thing.
It's
not
like it's
really spoken about.
Yeah, like
anymore.
it focuses. I think what they were trying to do was that it's very much focused on early on, and I think they were trying to sort of say, look, we're not going to do. That's an unfortunate example. Like J.K. Rowling, sort of like years after Harry Potter was done and dusted, went like, oh, Dumbledore was gay actually, but it's never actually mentioned, right? In the stories, and there's a cowardice in that. I'll say unfortunate example because she's fucking massive transphobe, but so I think what they didn't want to do with Tell Me Why was be like, hey, one of the main characters is transgender, and then barely mention it. So I think that first episode they're setting the stall out and be like, no, we're not shying away from talking about this, but then over time it's like that's not what defines Tyler. He's his own character,
and it's not what defines the story either. It felt to me like it was like this is a big deal, and then slowly as the episodes come out was normalizing it, which is hopefully how we want society to react. Eventually, you know what I mean? It's normalizing this stuff, and sorry if that's this stuff is a bit of a shit phrase to use, but what I'm saying is that these subjects and what people are going through, it kind of felt like the right thing to do, and I was quite comfortable with that. I think that worked. The way they got that sort of message across worked really well. Ultimately, though, I do think it is, in terms of story, characters, certainly in terms of decisions you're making and what one of these games are usually like, what Don't Nod games are so good at. I do feel that it was the weakest of their output, and I'm including, Before the Storm in that.
Because it's a shame, because you would think with fewer episodes, that might actually give them more breadth in terms of decisions, because actually...
Well, this is it. It's where they decided to spend that time.
Yeah.
Like, instead of fleshing out certain characters and giving us insight into characters, there was a lot of, like, shit puzzles or, wandering around a house looking at pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
Or needless dialogue.
And not in like a cool sort of world building way, just actually very tedious tasks quite often. And like if it's not going to be incredibly broad, then please make it short and sharp. Like, that's fine. Like, take out those sections where I'm literally counting stock for a fucking shop. Like, I mean, even though I don't that was the problem there. I just take that stuff out. I don't mind if it's shorter, because then I'm reframing it in my head. It's like, okay, they just wanted this to be quite brief, and that's fine.
Yeah,
so the fact that it's a little bit,
what they should have done.
Yeah, like the fact that it's a little bit drawn out in places, but also not particularly deep. It's a bit of a shame, I guess. But
there was when I started the third episode, I think, Dave, you texted me because I said I started it, and you said, how is it going? And as I said, I've fallen asleep with the controller in my hand, like at the beginning, and that was no reflection on the game really, because I was really tired at that point. But also the first like hour or so of the game is very slow.
Wasn't this at 9:30 in the morning?
It might have been, it might well have been, yeah.
No wonder you're moaning at at 10 o'clock at night. Matt, you haven't said much. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just to echo everything you've all said. I mean, I thought it started slow, but I thought the end was really good, and the latter third of the episode was excellent. And I wish they had done more like that. And I think that there's some interesting talking points, but ultimately, no real decisions of note throughout the whole series, especially, as you said, Dave, none of the stuff we like, where we all make different decisions and stuff, and even looking at the results, it's like, hey, everyone pretty much did the same things. Like, it'd be interesting to talk about this more, obviously, on the spoiler cast. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's nothing like as good as their other games, and it kind of makes me wonder where they go next or what they do next. I mean, Life is Strange.
We know what they're doing. Are they doing that twin mirror thing?
Yeah, Twin Mirrors, yeah. Which was it was originally episodic, and then now it's one single game, I believe.
What is that? Is that the same as these other games, or is it completely different?
It looks like
It's
it's more
another
focused on, instead of decisions, it's more puzzle based,
Yeah, like
right? That's what it looks like to
investigating
me.
and this and that. That's out
interesting.
on. I think I said to you, was it December 1st? Is that or November 1st? Anyway,
Soon, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I also like the time constraints. We've always been like saying, I wish they were more regular. It would be brilliant. You know, it sucks. You know, having one episode and then nothing for 3 months. And this time they did them one a week. And maybe it's just a fact that we've got, you know, busy lives anyway, and the pod and streams, but then also fitting in a spoiler cast every week. I mean, maybe the cadence of one a month or once a fortnight would be better. Maybe that's just me, or I'm being selfish. Maybe
they should cater their games to podcasters. Really, I agree.
Definitely,
I agree.
No, I think you're right. I
haven't
think
seen
once a
anyone
fortnight would have
talking
been
about
better.
this game. I've seen a fair number of sort of opinion pieces based on sort of the themes of the story, but no one else on Twitter that I've really seen. I haven't seen much in the way of discussion about the game, so I'm interested to know how it's done. It's a weird one, really. I wasn't blown away. Thought the end was stronger than the two and a half episodes before that, but nothing really to shout about.
Shout out to Eurogamer though. They did a Let's Play series where they streamed the full episodes, and they were really good.
Yeah.
I watched some of them after I'd completed the third episode, and very, very good stuff. So highly, if you're interested but you ain't going to play it, then at least watch those videos. I thought I really enjoyed those once I completed it. So that's we'll hear more about that on our spoiler cast coming out hopefully this week if all goes well. But I mean, I don't know if this is the final game we're going to talk about this week. It's the final one that I've got written down. What's it called? Hotshot Racing.
Yeah.
Is that the name? Right. Okay. Yeah. Hotshot Racing. Again, another not one of my favourite titles for a game.
I thought it was Hot Shots Racing,
but this is
no. Okay.
Hot Shots Racing. Okay.
Nice.
Sumo Digital, right?
It's Sumo Digital. Right, so this is interesting because it's Lucky Mountain Games and Sumo Digital. And I did a bit of digging into this. So it used to be called Racing Apex until I think it's like March. It was announced as Hotshot Racing instead. And it was initially just Lucky Mountain Games. And then somehow Sumo Digital got involved. But then when you look at the credits in the game, Lucky Mountain Games is one guy. So I don't know what the story is. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, you know, individuals have made games by themselves before. That's not new. I don't know. I'm just curious as to what the story is there. But
did you look him up on Twitter? Is he on Twitter?
He is. Yeah, Lucky Mountain Games. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'm going to contact him.
Okay.
And we'll try and get an audio recording of them saying what they did on the game.
Well, I mean, it's he's actually tweeted at me. I was having a conversation about the game with friend of the show CJ Black, and the dev sort of got involved, and it was entirely pleasant.
Oh, he's a mate now.
He's my best.
You make contact.
Best friend.
Okay.
I really like this. I really, really, really like it.
So it's before we go into our opinions, it's an arcade racing game.
Yeah.
That seems to be heavily inspired by sort of the Sega era, early Sega era, very low polygon,
sort of virtual racing
graphics
style, but
yeah,
with more detail.
Yeah, very much like
Apex.
Checkpoint, all that sort of stuff.
It looks a lot like virtual racing, but plays a lot like Outrun 2, doesn't it?
And Ridge Racer, I think.
I don't know if it does. Like Outrun, this is what was confusing me, because when I first started playing it, I thought, I'm not gonna like this, because this is a lot like Outrun 2, and people will be angry at me for this, but Outrun 2 never clicked with me. I mean, Outrun 1 didn't really click with me in a massive way either.
Fine.
I was never an
they're
Outrun fan.
Barely related, as far as I'm concerned. Like, Outrun 2 is
Yeah,
completely
so
different
I never really got onto the Outrun 2 thing, but the more I played this, the more I started going, no, it doesn't feel like that at all. It doesn't feel like my car goes sideways, and it doesn't really seem to give me an advantage. And no, the slipstream stuff is really, really important.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I was just in. Like I knew what all the mechanics were, and I was just fully in. So what happened the first time I played it online. Didn't really understand it. People had to tell me there was a boost button because I went straight into a race. I didn't really know what anything was. And then I ran through a Grand Prix in normal mode, and then I started doing it in hard mode, and I was like, I'm totally in. Then I went back to playing it online, and we had an arcade race between me and a bunch of friends, and that was it. That was me sold. I was like, it was a really close race. Everyone was like in with a chance of winning it by the end of it. Everyone was using different tactics and stuff. It was just, and of course, bumping the shit out of each other as we were going round, laughing as we were taking each other out. It was fantastic. So I'm fully sold on this now. I think it's brilliant. Sorry, shouldn't I cut you
No,
short
it's fine.
with your opinion to tell you mine, but there you go.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. I, like, as you know, said many times, generally prefer sort of arcadey races anyway, and this is like the most arcadey racer I've played in a long time. Like the drifting is just ridiculous, but it's so much fun to get right. I go back and forth on the sort of fighting with other cars.
That's the bit that kills it in some aspects for me. But
really,
yeah,
okay, because
I want to hear more.
There've definitely been like enjoyable battles with other cars, but then there have been times where I'll just be doing really great, and then someone just boosts into the back of me and completely fucks the race up.
I've enjoyed the aggression
in the old games.
Yeah, true. Sorry, go on, James.
Yeah, so do I, James. Actually, I enjoy the aggression quite a lot. I just think it's funny.
I just think it's just a beautiful handling model, and I love the way it looks. Like the soundtrack, I don't love it,
what?
but I
oh my god, I do.
really no. I was gonna say I don't love it, but it is perfectly reminiscent of. It sounds like a fucking arcade. Do you know what I mean? Like I can picture it.
100%.
I can picture it as an actual arcade, and like with the big fucking steering wheel and everything.
No, the main theme, it's a bit grating, but it's still lovely.
Yeah,
I still dig it. And some of the music in the levels is just fantastic. And yeah, it's reminiscent. What's great about the music is it is reminiscent of old arcade games, but it's all obviously modernised. Yeah. There's some songs in there where you think, I can hear this in an arcade. Well, I can't really because they didn't sound like that, but at the same time, they've nailed that sort of making it sound more modern thing.
Yeah, totally. And I love the fact that, like, obviously, you know, generally speaking, with arcade-style games, they don't always bother with, you know, like, stuff to unlock. It's very often, it's like, well, no, it's a very, like, pure and enjoyable thing that, you know, like, it like, stands by itself. It doesn't need... you know, like a progression system or anything. It's just you do the races, they're good, you hopefully win them, and you get, you know, win gold on all the Grand Prix. Whereas, but this does actually have shitloads of like customization stuff to unlock.
Some of the customizations ridiculous though. It is kind of like you can't tell the difference between the two bonnets on offer. Yeah, you want me to buy them with in-game currency.
And I love that. Yeah, so there's like some of the upgrades. Customizations, none of them are actually upgrades. Some of them you buy with in-game cash, and then some you have to like complete certain objectives with that vehicle or whatever. I just think it's great. I absolutely love it. Did you get the online?
You played it online?
I was going to say, did you? Yeah. So did you get the online working? Because I've had no joy actually trying to get a game yet.
Oh my, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I played a couple games today, and it was fine.
No, fair dues.
Yeah. So there's different modes. You can either have an arcade race. There's Cops and Robbers, which is probably the weakest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's probably the weakest mode, but also the funniest because obviously one of you's a cop and you're just going around hammering people. I mean, I don't know if you saw the tweet that I put out of a clip of what happened to me. It's clearly broken where it glitched out, and the cop car just sort of slammed me into the side out of nowhere and took me out. But you know, it really, that didn't matter for the if we want to play serious, then we're doing the arcade races because they're really good. But when you want to muck about, Cops and Robbers is fine. There's another mode where speed bomb or something it's called, where you've got to keep over a certain miles per hour. Otherwise a bomb goes off in your car and stuff. But I mean, yeah, we've had a few nights on it and we've been loving loving it. Yeah.
Cool. I fucking like the tracks are so good, man. I just love that every single one is just like
so good.
just like a ludicrous theme park. It's got an obligatory level that like sort of goes underwater, and like there's giant fish tanks on the side of you and stuff, and like fairgrounds, fucking driving through a casino. It's so good.
Yeah, it's like they've taken those original ideas from those old Sega racing games and they have recreated them. And they've not updated the graphics as such. Obviously, the resolution's way better and stuff, so you can see further. You don't have that problem where you're really squinting to see which way the track's going. But they've then just piled loads of shit in it. So when you're going through those tanks, there's just like loads of sharks, or there's one where there's a massive dinosaur overlooking the track, and it roars as you go past. Obviously, that wouldn't have happened back then, but they've kept that style and just added tons of stuff. That's how they've used the sort of the power that these consoles have got. And don't get me wrong, it's getting nowhere near the level that it would struggle. But man, that I've loved that stuff. So Matt, you said on Twitter that you had your own thoughts on it, but I'm interested to hear.
So much of this game I love, and then there's some bits that kind of kill it for me. Although, I mean, it's Sega through and through, but it's also more Ridge Racer than I thought. I mean, when I first started, it's like, hey, it's got the Sega music, it's got the Sega colours, the handling's great, mostly. But actually, more played it feels more Ridge Racery than
it doesn't feel
classic
like I've
Sega.
played a lot of Ridge
Racer loads in the arcade. It reminds me more of that.
That's crazy. I mean, I've played a lot of Ridge Racer, and I don't agree. I don't think this is very Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer is very much you're doing the drifting, but it feels like the drifting feels way different. To me, it feel in Ridge Racer that it feels a little bit more, I guess, Burnout Paradise. Whereas this, I don't see that connection at all.
You see, to me, the drifting in this is pure Outrun 2.
I mean, you probably right. Maybe I should go back to Outrun 2.
Like, being in or out of a drift is like a completely different fucking state of being, isn't it? It's like once you're locked into it's like fucking hell,
completely disconnected.
So, but all that's good. But the things that kind of kill it is basically it's the worst rubber banding of any racing I've ever played, and it kind of like that kind of kills it. I get what they're doing, but you can be eighth, and then a couple of corners down the line you're suddenly first, or first to eighth. And I know loads of games do that, but it feels just much worse than other games. There's no even like sense of they could be catching me up, or I could be catching them up. I think that kind of kills it. The other thing that kind of really fucking annoys me is when you're doing a drift or something, the other players, the other racers are just smashing into you left, right, and centre. So it's just basically every corner is just a disaster.
But weren't those games like that back then? The games that you love that this is inspired by. The aggressive AI was
aggressive AI
always
I can
like
take,
that.
but it's just that just kind of kills the flow of the race for me. And then what happens is maybe you'll go to eighth, and then you'll zoom past them.
But then surely the answer to that is
doing amazing for a few corners. It doesn't matter because they're right behind you.
But then surely the answer is just do time trials.
Yeah, and actually I will say I played online, and online is so much better
Really?
because there's no rubber banding, and it feels like an actual proper race. I will say, like, boosting, I think you sort of like referred to a bit at the beginning of the day. It's like, but you will be quicker if you didn't bother with drifting. The only reason you re-drift is to get the boost. But drifting doesn't make it any better, any quicker. It's fun as hell, but I could have like gone through this like track straight, and it would have been surely better.
Surely you wouldn't make half the turns. You'd have to slow right down for him.
I feel like most of them. I feel like I could probably go through full whack, but the game starts forcing you to drift just because that's the mechanic of the game. I'm probably being picky. The worst thing for me is...
because if that's part of how you get your boosts up, obviously it's harder to control your drift, so the risk-reward is you're trying to control your drift in order to get your boost. Like, that's how the game plays, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm saying like it would have been quicker in the vehicles just to go around a corner without having to drift. But
then you
because
don't
the
get
game's
your
okay,
boost,
you need
so
drift.
that's the risk reward then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But the aggressive AI and sort of the rubber banding is kind of annoying. But playing online is feels like a completely different experience. And I absolutely love the music. The tracks are brilliant. It feels so good when you nail a drift, when you don't get smashed from another computer, another player. I'm a big fan. I do think you're right. I've got I don't know. I've got thousands, probably like tens or hundreds of thousands of like the currency in the game, and I'm not sure if I can bother to customize. They're also like pernickety and things you don't even notice. I haven't really bothered with much of customization. But I have enjoyed playing as different characters. What I haven't enjoyed is all their sort of little quips and stuff. I get that's part of the personality of like the characters, but
I'm with you on that, Matt. I don't enjoy that.
Yeah, I didn't need
irritating.
Like a few of the characters were fine at first, but even the ones I initially liked, I've heard every quip 10 times over.
Hold on, whoa! Are you? Have any of you playing with Marcus on a regular?
No, which one's he?
Which one's he? Who's he?
Marcus is the Jamaican.
I have played as him. Yeah.
Yep, that's all you need to do.
Okay.
Never gets tiring.
Fair enough.
Always brilliant. The quip over and over again is the best.
Yeah, I've
Marcus
gone
is the best.
for a list, start playing as all different ones and see what they're like.
Well,
and
just
stuff.
pick Marcus and stay with Marcus because there's no one better than Marcus. It always makes me laugh. No time to check my blind spot. He shouts out and makes me smile every time. I've got time for Marcus.
No, I wish there was an option. Maybe there is an option to turn him off because I didn't need them. But no, it's great to play like an old school arcade racer. It's really fun.
I mean, in
it's
terms
a bit
of the
framing in points. I'm not sure if you guys have had issues with that as well.
Oh no, I haven't.
The what? Framing?
It's a bit
frame
framing.
Issues? No,
Really?
no, not.
Yeah, I had like a couple of bits around
solid.
corners. I'm like, this is kind of annoying.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've
Well,
not
actually,
experienced
no.
that. That sucked.
I did have that, but I just assumed it was my Xbox being rubbish.
It probably was.
I mean, I've been playing this on my Xbox One, and it's been fine.
Cool. But
Okay.
great.
When it comes to the rubber banding, I think obviously, I'd be pissed off if every racing game was like that. For me, I kind of appreciate it for this game because it's obviously not a game that I'm going to be playing for months, like I would, say, Forza. It's going to be a quick, month's worth of like really good fun. But in this setting for this game, I like the fact that if I crash, I'm not out of it, and I'm not like way ahead of everyone else. I'm not playing it to that degree. You know what I mean? I'm not playing the time trials. I'm not trying to beat records. I'm not. It's a little bit like Mario Kart for me, where
it's way
just
worse than Mario Kart. But Mario Kart,
really
I'm not
good
doing it for times. I mean, I might have been on the N64 and stuff, but like, I don't know.
I don't know if it's way worse than Mario Kart. Have you played the 150cc modes in that game? It's ridiculous.
It's maddening, that is.
It's just,
in fact, actually, it's more annoying in Mario Kart because if you are absolutely caning it ahead of everyone, you get. I mean, I've had 3 blue shells in one lap before.
I've had that as well. It's
where it's just like, no, you ain't getting that far ahead.
Yeah.
I know we're rubber banding, but you're beating our rubber banding, so let's just hammer you with shells. Like that's worse.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the rubber banding, like I feel like I've benefited from it way. Like I feels like it's something I can manipulate. It's not like people who fall behind are just sort of arbitrarily going faster than the people in front. It all feels like it's systems you can make use of because you making sure you like slipstream off people and then get the boost out of them.
Yeah, the slipstreaming is so important.
Yeah, like
it's so important.
Then
and I don't know if you've noticed how
they've 5 boosts in a row, and the whole pack has also done that apparently because they're all right there. It kind of takes the edge off the racing. I want to be able to properly racing. This is just. That kind of annoys me. It's like there's everyone there, or I don't know.
So
There's
time
plenty of games
trials.
where you can do that.
Surely that's the answer. If you just don't like everything about the other
look
cars,
into that. I haven't tried it. I've only done the Grand Prix and online, but I should probably look into that because the handling model is great. And if there's no one else annoying me and they're rubber banding, maybe that's a perfect place for me. But yeah.
Have you noticed how it? I mean, I could be wrong here, but I was trying to work it out today. I seem to always know when I'm slipstreaming someone.
Yeah.
Right? And it's doing something.
I'm not sure what.
And I think it's something to do with the vibrations. I know. around the edge of the screen, I think there are little lines, but they're so small that you only kind of pick.
I think there's
up on
kind of
them.
little lines going over like the edge of the car in front of you, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, possibly. But if you tuck in behind, I think the pad sort of rumbles and then stops. So as you're going into slipstream, it rumbles then stops. So it kind of just goes, yep, you're going into that slipstream. And then your pad feels completely smooth because it's not rumbling at all. And then the moment you get out of it, it starts like rumbling again. I think that's what it does. I'd love to know how they've communicated it, but it feels bloody brilliant. It feels really good. And then, of course, obviously, that's how you get those moments where you see a pack of cars driving along together and one zooms out in front and then another one zooms out in front of that, and then that back and forth is cracking, and I love it so much. I don't know how long I'm going to play it for, but for now I will be playing it because it's really good fun. James, anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I've not played it as much as any of you, I don't think. I mean, I've only finished all the GPs on normal, but I'm going to go back to it because I really enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed the aggressive AI. Like, I really did. I thought it was fun. Like, having them trying to, just smashing into me and then me smashing back into them. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. And the drifting, I think, is great. I mean, I've got no problems with it at all. It's a very nice game.
It's just been really cool that, so Sumo Digital worked on this, and famously they handled the port of Outrun 2, and then they worked on Outrun 2 Coast to Coast, which I've always said is why secretly the Sonic racing games are actually pretty good, because I feel like some of that that Outrun 2 DNA sort of rubbed off onto Sumo Digital. So to see them then work on this, which is obviously a love letter to Outrun 2 and a few other things. It's just really nice to see.
Cool. All right, and that's is that the last game? Has anyone else got anything more to add?
I've got Paradise Killer, but we can talk about that after Sean's played it.
Yeah, sorry, fucking tell me why it's fault, mate. I haven't really played anything else. Right, should we do questions?
Yes, let's do the Q&A section. We need a new name, don't we? We need a new name.
Just questions.
We can do better.
If you want to send us a question, if you want to send us a Q
or a suggestion of what to call this bit,
no, don't, because they'll all be rubbish.
I know. I kind of want to see what they come up with. How about you call it interaction time?
Head to tcgs.co/Dear TCGS. John, or is it Cheetham or Cheetham? I should know because it's a place near Manchester, isn't it?
I think it's Cheetham.
John Cheetham says, love the pod. Got into it because of your Last of Us 2 spoiler cast and have been going through your backlog as well as Dark Calls and Star Calls.
See, they do work.
They do. He says, although Sean said...
Don't say your backlog. James and Dave's backlog of... Yeah, okay, gotcha. Yep.
It says, although Sean said everyone else falls asleep when he starts talking about obscure turn-based indie games, my ears actually perk up at these times. Got Deep Sky Derelicts when it was on sale after hearing him talk about it, and Star Renegades looks stunning, so thanks for the recommendations. No worries, mate. My question is, do you plan on playing any spooky games in October as Halloween approaches? I've been looking forward to trying Paratopic and Alien Isolation. When any of you been marking the season similarly?
I played Paratopic.
Oh yeah,
I've not talked about it on the show because I really did not enjoy that game at all.
Because it was actually bad, or because it was terrifying?
I think it was actually bad.
Okay,
is why. But yeah, it was very cheap though. But so yeah, I didn't think it was that good.
All right then. I mean, yeah, I do not do scary games. I think Dave, you're the same, right?
Yeah, but I might load up Luigi's Mansion.
I don't know if that counts.
Why not? It's spooky.
Oh yeah, no,
It's ghosts in it.
Maybe
Spooky's not scary, is it? Spooky's different.
To be fair,
spooky.
I should actually go back to Luigi's Mansion 3, shouldn't I? Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the answer.
You should finish that incredible video game.
Yeah.
It's annoying that you haven't actually.
I know.
It's good, isn't it, James?
Yeah.
Should have been Game of the Year last year, shouldn't it, mate?
Well, yeah. It's very good, but... What was Game of the Year last year? I don't remember.
What was our Game of the Year last year?
Are you fucking serious?
Sean, I drunk a bottle of
He
whiskey.
was spashed.
It's just
He
that,
drank a bottle of whiskey.
Matt and I suffered some serious emotional damage from that episode. So the fact that you don't even remember is very upsetting to me.
Life is Strange season 2.
Oh, that's right,
was
yeah.
game of the year
It was,
last year.
Absolute joke.
Yeah.
I
Great
agreed with
game,
you,
but come
David.
on.
Yeah.
Matt?
Well, I play spooky. I mean, I don't do too well spooky games either. I mean, I know Resi 7 is now on Game Pass.
Oh, that's true.
I'm
You
looking
got
at
to
me
play
like-
I'll
that.
get that
That's a
stream,
good
But
game.
you've got to play that on VR on stream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
that's
I'm
a
gonna be
horrendous
sick.
experience. You've got to do that.
Oh, come on. Just like on Halloween, just do that. You know that would get the numbers in.
I don't care.
I don't know if it's worth the
I don't know.
trauma.
I've started watching more spooky films recently, so maybe I'm getting not spooky. Yeah.
No, what is it? What have you watched?
Scooby-Doo.
I watched. Oh fuck! I'm not going to remember them now. I mean, I watched. Oh my god, that one with Patricia Arquette. No.
Scream?
Are you talking about Coco? Pixar's Coco.
No.
That's. Is that where you go?
It's the one for the director did Midsummer, which is next on my list.
Okay.
Fucking hell. Anyway, I can't remember, but that was scary, but I got through that, and now, yeah.
Oh yeah, good. We can't say anything, can we? Because the film hasn't even been okay. Now what? Come on, you've done your Resident Evil stream. You've hardened your shell. Where do you go from here?
I don't know if it has hardened his shell. I think if anything,
It has
Put-
though.
put
'cause
some
you
more
I
cracks
think,
in it.
I think it definitely has, actually.
Okay.
No, I think it has.
Right,
'Cause
yeah,
you
no, it's
played
okay,
Resident
right. It
Evil
wasn't
5,
Patricia
didn't you? It doesn't
Arquette,
seem
but
to
no,
be.
the film I saw was Hereditary. That
okay.
film, I kind of wanted to watch it for ages. I knew it was a horror. I watched it the other week, and yeah, I survived. It wasn't that bad. And then
Survived.
Didn't
and I played
actually
obviously
die.
Resident Evil 2. I think that helped me as well. And then I watched like Bird Box. That was a bit freaky. That was fine. I watched Us. Get Out. Sorry. So and something else. I think. Anyway, so I think I'm gradually getting a bit better with scary things.
I still think
How
you've
far
got
does
to
it go though? Is this going to get worse and worse and worse? Then all of a sudden, like
He's just going to be completely unmoved by anything.
Well, that would be great.
it's
I've
going to
said-
be like, well, eventually I have to move on to snuff films. It's like, all right, Matt, we're going to have to kick you off the show.
on the bottom of snuff films. Yeah, that would be good because I've seen loads of like horror films.
No, it wouldn't be good.
Trailers. And I'm like, I wish I could see that, but I wouldn't be able to handle that at all. But yeah, Midsummer's next. I hear that's excellent. But scary games, I don't know. I mean, Resident Evil 2, I got through that. Resident Evil 3 was nothing after that. It felt so brave.
Yeah, getting through it was one thing. Yeah, okay.
You've got to play
wouldn't.
7 in VR because that is one of those horrific experiences I've had. It's terrible. I had to stop. I couldn't play it in VR. It's too much.
And James didn't give a fuck about
James
the
is probably
kitchen.
the hardest of
Yeah,
the lot of
yeah,
us. Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't
Yeah,
normally
he's a-
bother me, but
he's a
it was.
real man.
But it was horrible in that. It really was.
Oh, I also watched A Quiet Place, which I thought was going to be a horror, but it's more of a thriller. That was excellent as well.
None of these horror films sound like horror films. I watched Us. I watched A Hard
No, I
Place.
haven't
This
seen
is
Us,
all
actually. I
sounds
saw
like
Get
the sort
Out.
of
I want to see Us, but
films
Us
that
looks
Joe
a bit
watches.
too
It's like, yeah, I
scary for
watched
me.
that Inception. Jesus Christ. That was...
I saw Tenet the other day, actually. That's a mindfuck.
Sean
Any
Thomas.
fans of Tenet?
Sean Thomas
Yeah.
says, hi TCGS team. Enjoyed your take on the Nintendo Direct last week, and I'm excited to see what you make of this week's surprise reveal of Hyrule Warriors. Mate, I'm absolutely buzzing for it. I can't wait.
Wasn't in
Oh,
the list.
God, we
wasn't
didn't
in
even
news.
We
mention
didn't
it.
mention it. It got sort of, swallowed up by everything else. But yeah, I'm well up for it. One thing I thought was interesting was that you felt that Super Mario 3D All-Stars being removed from sale next March meant that N64 games were unlikely to come to the Switch Online service. Weirdly, I thought that news possibly signalled the complete opposite. For a while now, Nintendo has been running out of ways to make the online service valuable, and many of their games that use it are fading into memory now. I think they'll need something else for 2021 to keep you invested, and logically it has to be N64 games. But it's hard to launch that service with much impact given that most N64 games are now tied up in licensing hell, or, let's face it, were dog shit. Mario 64 has to be one of the launch games to lure people in, likely alongside the two Zelda titles, which I mentioned because on the 21st of February 2021, Zelda 2, as in Zelda TOO celebrates its 35th anniversary. I would imagine next year sees a huge celebration of the franchise, much like this year has done for Mario. I imagine it kicks off with N64 games coming to the online service, but is followed up with re-releases of the latter 3D titles. Twilight Princess and Wind Waker were already remastered for Wii U, and rumours abound that Skyward Sword has been getting similar treatment this year. A co-op version of Four Swords could be fun for the online service too.
That would be good. That would be so good.
Would be very good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Throw in some things for older kids like Lego sets, an escape room partnership, a Netflix animated series, or some action figures, all leading up to the release of Breath of the Wild 2, and you have an epic year. I admit there's a whole lot of gun jumping there, but I don't think it's out of the question. Bigger concerns long-term for Nintendo are probably around how the hell they follow the Switch up. They'll never have an entire system's library of games to re-release again in the way they have these past 3 years, and also this backlog of retro titles will also have been exhausted. So they're going to have to seriously ramp up production of their own games to start filling schedules going forward. I hope this sparks some lively debates.
I'm not sure about that. I think they're still going to keep re-releasing stuff for the new console.
Are we saying here that Mario 64 will be part of this N64 online service?
I really don't
definitely
think it would be.
That. I don't. I don't think they'll do it either.
The reason they'd put it at March is that essentially Mario 64 would be free via this.
No, because they're not going to do this.
They would sell Sunshine and thingy separately.
But then how long do they have
Galaxy.
to leave for that to not be a piss take out of people who bought the...
Well, because it was a special 35th anniversary collection, that's what people would want. It's like,
but there's nothing
big old collection.
particularly special about it. That's the thing.
You tell the people spending like $2,000 on eBay to get a box copy.
Fair point.
And all pre-orders are sold out and stuff.
Have you seen the menus? Have you seen the menus? They released.
I know
a video on
going around, but
it looks like you could just add Galaxy 2 to it when it comes out. Honestly, it really does look like it's just completely separate. Like they haven't done like this whole menu thing like they did the original All Stars, where Mario's in a top hat pointing at the games you're about to play. It does look like tiles on a screen.
Fuck's sake. But yeah, I think the Zelda stuff is interesting. I think it'd be really cool if that happens. I mean, yeah, all right. It's maybe a bit poor to just be like, hey, it's the Mario year, now it's the Zelda year, and that's it. But, yeah.
I mean, I would say it's more likely that they're going to go, here's a collection of Zelda games.
Yeah.
So what would it be? It would be Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, probably Wind Waker, as a £50 standalone collection.
Do you think it'd been off Twilight Princess?
No, because I think I
only think they'll put 3 Zelda games on there. That's too much.
Yeah, good point.
I think the chances
and then
of
possibly do. Do you reckon they'll start doing classic releases?
Could do.
Nintendo classics for the Switch. So like Breath of the Wild might get pushed for £25.
Is that not already a thing? It's
no,
not, is it? No, I'm thinking of Wii U.
Yeah.
Sorry, James, you were going to say something as well.
Still £60, isn't it?
I think the chance of that Four Swords adventure thing, I think there's a pretty good chance something like that will happen actually as part of the online service, because that there was quite a recent like sort of not remake but sort of version of that on the 3DS as well.
Oh yeah, it was for 3 players, wasn't it, rather than
there was
4,
it was like Triforce. I forgot what it was called, Triforce Heroes or something like that. I played it. I played it for review ages ago, and it was a good game if you could try and find anyone to play it with you. Yeah. But there was like nobody online hardly playing, and it had the whole thing where you could just troll people, which was really irritating. Like people would just like refuse to move to the next room or whatever. And you were like, maybe someone's called their dinner's ready.
Zelda Maker.
Ah, God,
it would be terrible. I can't see that being a good thing at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, I'd be up for it.
Well, what's the fun thing of playing Mario games? It's a level, isn't it?
Yeah.
Play through a level.
Yeah.
With Zelda, it's more about the journey.
I suppose,
like the whole thing.
at best you'd be...
No one's going to want to just do a dungeon where someone's put like a switch somewhere or whatever. It's
some people love
part of the fun
that,
of the Mario Maker is the automatic levels coupled with the crazy levels coupled with this, that, and the other. How do you do that? How do you get that magic into Zelda? You can't. Like Zelda's all about puzzles and cool like enemy fighting areas and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's going to be so rare for like, because obviously with Mario Maker you can make worlds, like strings of levels put together, but then that's just stringed together with like a map screen. Like the map doesn't have to be its own world as well on top of it's harder to break Zelda down into smaller pieces like that, isn't it, that stand up on their
Yeah,
own.
what are the dungeons going to be? You know, you can put a Mario Maker idea out. Doesn't take you long to build. Very simple to put a level together. And fun to play regardless, because you're playing a Mario level.
Yeah.
You know, and even if it's a short idea, it's like, oh, cool, that's a really cool little idea. On to the next one. Whereas here, it will be what? Like, if you wanted to really reduce it, it would be dungeons.
Well, that's all it
And
would be.
someone's...
Because that's what they did with Link's Awakening. Because Link's Awakening had like a Zelda dungeon maker in it.
It did,
like
yeah.
you could do all that stuff. I mean, it was not very interesting. But I think, you see, the thing is, especially now that Breath of the Wild has kind of moved away from the idea of like, you know, like you have a limited overworld and then you just do dungeons. Whereas with Breath of the Wild, the overworld was the whole thing. Like that was the, you know, what was so great about it. I can't see them wanting to go back to that dungeon stuff again because it was...
Well, no, hold on. I can see them doing another top-down traditional Zelda
I can
at
see them
some
doing
point.
that, yeah. But what I mean is like focusing on like creating, you know, like dungeon making and that kind of thing. I don't think it's that interesting. But I don't know, maybe some other people would love all that, you know, putting like traps together and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's whether people would like to play them. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, yeah, you've done a trap. Well
Yeah,
done.
because that'd be irritating, wouldn't it? Because they'll be all like, oh, yeah,
yeah.
this is puzzles and stuff. I don't know.
To know Matt.
Well,
Sorry.
is worth asking. But I'll be interested to see what Zelda stuff I do,
Totally.
compared to the Mario stuff I've done.
Yeah.
T-shirts. Oh, yeah, here's a question, just a random one. The Mario furniture in Animal Crossing, when's that happening?
I don't think I put a date on it. It's just coming.
No dates. Fucking hell, do something with that game, please. Joe said we haven't played it for a while, and Joe logged on the other night and just went, the place is just a shit tip and everyone's having a go at me because I haven't seen them in ages. I was like, okay, seems like a different world than the one that I'd left last. But
Elodie turned it on today and it was like weeds everywhere, and I'm like, tell me that I better not be a 4-star island, Elodie, you better get fixed in that.
Right.
Good times.
Maria Mendieta says, dear residents of the TCGS Coplex. Oh, I don't know if that works.
Coplex works. I like that. That's a cool name.
Fine. I only recently recovered from a laughing fit after imagining a single pair of active gaming trainers being passed around the team, just like the Oculus Quest. Thank you for the wonderfully funny episode.
Oh, they don't get passed around as often as I'd like. Go on.
My question on a completely different note is regarding the 3DS's legacy. When will it make sense for Nintendo to port its catalogue to the Switch? Will treasures like Wario Ware Gold be condemned to the annals of gaming history, or simply circulate via emulation? Keep up the admirable work. I mean, the screen format is a weird issue, isn't it? Like, how do you get around that?
I don't think they'll do that. I think a lot of this stuff will disappear, and it's a shame because, especially like WarioWare, like it's a shame that seems to have disappeared completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like that seems to be a series they don't care about anymore.
Yeah,
and but I don't think they will. It's unlikely because I mean, surely those games would require like a lot of work, like to actually make them, you know, sort of playable or whatever on the Switch.
Yeah. You'd think so, wouldn't you?
When they were doing their mobile shit, why didn't they think WarioWare for mobile?
I know. It's mad, isn't it? You'd think that would be like a natural...
I guess because
thing.
it's not like a massive title. You know, it's not as
it
big a
doesn't have the
title
same
as
cachet.
Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
give me a
fucking
mobile version of
WarioWare
that
game on that.
paper aeroplane game from one of the early DS ones, and I'm there.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, WarioWare was so good.
Donk versus Donk Online. How about that? That minigame was just the best. You remember that, Donk versus Donk?
Rings a bell, but what was the minigame?
Yeah, it was like one of the mini games that I think in the original WarioWare, and you had to unlock it, and you held the Game Boy Advance between the two people, and it was like just a stick moving up and down, and there was a wall in between, so for the two sides, there's a wall in the middle, and there was a loose brick. There were 3 loose bricks, and you had to tap the loose brick to the other side to squash the person standing next to the wall. You had to tap it 3 times, but obviously the other person could nudge it back. And then you would just, with the stick that was going up and down repeatedly, you had to time it just right to knock the little brick onto the other. It's just look for Dong versus Dong. Dong versus Dong or Dong versus Donk or something, I can't remember.
Or Donk
but if
versus
you look for that
Dong.
yeah, something like that. Or Dong versus Donk. One of the two.
Don versus
Of
Don.
8. Yeah, I don't know. It's either dong or dong. But yeah, I remember playing at a bath meet once, like for ages, because it's good fun. But yeah, get that on the Switch. Do that. Get that. We want to play that. Yeah. Is that it? Have we answered the question?
Yeah, why not? Greg Shepherd.
How did Maria Mediator end that email? I'm looking forward to the in-depth discussion about this.
No, she said keep up the admirable work, which I think we have. Greg Shepherd says, hi TCGS. Last episode, Dave mangled an Officer Crabtree quote from Hello Hello and basically explained it badly and the show dismissively. I don't blame him for this at all because I did the same till a few years back. Hello Hello is one of those things you remember fondly because you enjoyed it as a child, but you assume as an adult it's just shit. That's because you remember it.
Oh, I never remembered it fondly. Let me make that very clear now. I never liked that show.
That's because you remember it through a child's eyes. So when you experience it properly as an adult, you appreciate the real brilliance behind it. When I first watched Hello Hello as an adult, it turned out to be one of the funniest, most brilliant and inventive sitcoms ever. This is the exact opposite of the lazy catchphrase comedy I'd assumed it was. So my question is, what has really exceeded your nostalgia when you've gone back to it? Oh, I don't know if anything has.
Yeah,
nostalgia's
a weird thing.
It's always been the other way for me. It's always been disappointment, I think.
I've recently finished rewatching Deep Space Nine, and it is still incredibly good.
Oh, there you go.
And I think it's probably better this time around.
I've seen people say that, like it's aged incredibly well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should get on that. Actually, yeah.
I've googled it. It is Dong versus Dong, okay. But I would say probably, actually, possibly, definitely Back to the Future.
Okay.
Because when I went back and watched it as an adult, there are so many gags and references in there that I never would have got when I was a kid. That I was like, oh no, this is actually way more clever than I initially thought. Yeah. Like, I remember it being, wow, cars and hoverboards and ooh. Like, you know, when you go back to it, there's some really clever jokes in there that refer to, you know, even taking the piss out of brands and the whole, was it, I wish the weather service was as regular as the postal service. You know, lines like that that I wouldn't have picked up on when I was a kid, but then, yeah, you go back to it and you go, oh, yeah, no, it was a good joke. It's fun.
To be fair, completely nicking James's answer, but yeah, when I did my full rewatch of Star Trek The Next Generation, that was different because as a kid, I remember it all being pretty good, whereas actually, in reality, as an adult, some of it is fucking brilliant and some of it is dog shit. So,
yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it goes both ways. But yeah, broadly speaking, usually when I go back to things, I'm just like, oh no, this was terrible. What was I thinking? You got any, Matt?
Yeah, I try not to go back. I try not to go back. Be too disappointed with everything. Just always look forward. Always look forward. Always said that.
MD Krabos says, what song always gets you out on the dance floor?
We've had this conversation recently,
I mean, literally nothing in my case.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah, you never dance. No. Oh, sorry, yeah, I had this conversation with your wife. We were around, it was Sam White's wedding, wasn't it? And we were having a pizza outside, nowhere near the party, because Sean doesn't like dancing. Or we were just chatting, having a chat, and this guy walked over with his waistcoat open, his few buttons undone, absolutely smashed off his face. And, you know,
I mean,
a couple of us around that table were drunk as well.
It was entirely pleasant, but his missus wasn't happy, was she?
No. But he was great. Yeah. Right. And he just turned around, looked at us, and just went, what song would play now that would definitely get you up on the dance floor? And because it was a mixture of being polite and not knowing what answer he was looking for, we will sort of just go, I don't know, and I'm not too sure. And then he just lifted his finger to the air and went, Bright Side. And we all went, yeah, of course, Bright Side.
It's definitely Bright Side.
Yeah, it's Bright Side. Yeah, if that played now, we'd all be out there. And then the funny thing about this is that when Sean was rounding up everyone to go, it was hilarious.
Was it funny,
great.
Dave?
It wasn't not funny just because you didn't find it funny. Everyone else did. But when Sean was rounding up everyone to go, he'd managed to get me, Sean's wife knew, and someone else. And we were standing by the barn where the
you can say who the someone else was. I think it was IGN's Joe Scrabbles. Carry on.
No, you were looking for Joe Scrabbles.
Oh, that's right. So I'd already. I
didn't want to go into it just in case.
Bearing in mind, throughout all this, I was carrying an ironing board at the groom's request because he wanted me to bring it to the venue. Long story.
So Sean comes over to us, and remember, I'm drunk, but Sean comes over to me and goes, "Please don't move from here. I need to find where Joe is, convince him to come back. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I just want to go." And we were like, "Fine, yeah, we ain't going to move. Just please wait here. I won't be long. Let me grab Joe and then we'll make our way." And I was like, "Fine." And he left, and it was about 60 seconds after he left. We were standing there just sort of waiting, and then from the barn next to us, we heard, "And a man in the town, and they were doing just fine." And we just looked at each other and just fucking dashed onto the dance floor, went crazy for our bright side,
and then obviously
come back to a thunderous look from Sean.
Because obviously I stepped out, like, where the fuck have they gone? And then heard the song, and I was just like, Brandon fucking Flowers, you cunt. Absolutely.
It is quite funny. Walking out of a barn and seeing a furious Sean and a barely conscious Joe Scrabbles. It was it was quite the sight. But yeah, the timing of it was just unbelievable. James, I can't wait to hear your answer. What's the big breakdancing song that gets you out on that dance floor?
Absolutely
on that
nothing is going to get me to do dancing, because I don't do that.
Yes.
So,
To do dancing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
sound
like a
Are you
robot.
kidding me? So you're at a wedding, you just won't dance?
No, why would I dance?
Because it's fun?
Yeah, that's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. People find different things fun, Dave. Not everyone has to do the same thing.
Bollocks, you have danced.
When?
You've danced. I can't remember if it was a game. I don't remember if it was the Destiny. It was either the Destiny 2 launch. It was the gig, yeah. It was Queens of Stone Age.
Queens of Stone Age. Yeah,
Queens
did
of
dance.
Stone Age.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. when that sort of thing happens, yeah, I will dance then. Yeah.
What do you mean that sort of thing?
When music happens.
Yeah, when you're at a music concert, then maybe that will happen. Yeah.
Concert.
Right, James, every time we talk about music, it's like we just forged you out from the Ice Age and you're trying to acclimatise. Like, have you ever listened to music?
It's not very kind, Matt.
Music concert, do a dance.
What do you mean
that
floored
sort of
him
thing.
out of the Ice Age? He was born in it, wasn't he?
Good point,
Okay, well, that's how... Oh, Matt, have you answered?
Oh, no, it's Brightside every time, yeah. Definitely.
It's Brightside,
I mean,
it's
it's
Brightside.
that or Candle in the Wind, but both bangs.
Well, it seems to me that you live... I still think it's offensive that... Have I done this bit on the show before?
I don't think so. Go on.
Let's do it
Isn't
again,
it offensive that he just changed the lyrics?
It is very weird, isn't it? Very weird.
It is kind of like... this was about someone else that died,
Yep.
but I'm just gonna change the words a bit, and now it's about you and all.
I don't think he's got it in him to do a third time, though.
Yeah, I think he has.
Yeah.
Well,
I
no,
think he has,
it's too
Matt.
synonymous now with Lady Di, Queen of Hearts.
Let's see when old
not
Queenie...
to Generation Z, mate. It's all to play for. He could wheel
point,
it out
yeah.
again. No bother. I didn't even know Lady Di was.
What?
Doomican says, does Sean fancy attempting the recipe for the dumping cake, which is a horrible name, that could be found in episode 2 of Tell Me Why, and a future episode of Bell's Kitchen? The full list of ingredients and the method was there to follow. Yes, I have already taken photographs of it.
We've already spoken about it, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
There's actually 2 other recipes in episode 3.
There is,
isn't there?
yeah. So there was the sort of crab hot pot, and then what was the other one?
Yeah, and there was another one. I didn't take a picture, but because at that point I was like, "Oh, there's another one, Sean." I didn't want to bug you, but yeah, there's a couple of recipes. I quite like the fact they've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the cupcakes one. Is that the one that the emailer was talking about?
the dump cake.
The dump.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called a dumping cake, which is a real thing. But it's basically just a crumble, right? I think it's just the American name for a crumble. But it's got like, is it
Do you know what? Right. So what they call it? So that's the American thing for what?
crumble?
What's the Americans call
A
it?
dumping cake.
Could you imagine being American and it's a dumpling cake? No. They're talking about a crumble. Like, it's such a weird word. Oh, a crumble? I'll have an apple crumble, please. Yeah, that is absolutely what we say to each other. Do you want a bit of crumble? Yeah, I'll have a crumble, please.
One crumble,
Like,
please. I mean, I don't know if it's more similar to a cobbler, but then I'm not 100% on the difference between a crumble and a cobbler. So,
Isn't that someone who fixes your shoes from the 80s?
yeah.
That's what I thought it was, yeah.
Right, the thing about this dumpling cake, right, is that so imagine a crumble, but the fruit is canned cherries and canned pineapple, and I can't imagine that working at all.
Well, we'll find out.
But apparently I've got to make it. So yeah,
you're not changing those ingredients.
Oh no, absolutely not. Although one thing I will take suggestions on. So in the recipe, the joke is that the original recipe is that it's got chopped walnuts in it or on the topping, but the kids have crossed that out and put chocolate chips instead.
Naughty kids.
I think chocolate chips will make it work even less. I don't think that'll fit at all.
Work less.
Do both.
Both, yeah.
Sean.
It's always an option.
Do half and half, yeah.
Okay. Half and half, fine. I will totally do that at some point. I've kind of resigned myself to, because one of the reasons I've not done Bell's Kitchen for ages is it feels like everything I want to do, it's like you make it and then there's like a 50-minute cooking time. And then like, well, how do I fill that and then show you the finished thing? And I think I'm just going to have to accept that I'm just...
Balloon animals.
Can't you do the here's one I made earlier thing?
No, because then I've got to make the whole thing twice, James. And I have to buy the ingredients. So yeah, I think I'm just going to accept.
They don't come cheap from Waitrose.
James asking you to do more work.
Yeah, cheers, James.
Imagine that.
So yeah, I think I'm just going to accept that if I just stream the making of the thing, bung it in the oven, and then I don't know, just do like a quick video on Twitter or something, going, "Here's me eating it. It's nice." And that's just going to have to be the way it works, I think.
Can't you just run the video? Can't you do a highlights video and then just run that on Twitch?
What do you mean?
Like pre-record it and then run that on Twitch?
Pre-record the whole thing?
Yeah, you can do it as like a...
but then...
Pre-record, oh my God. Wait, pre-record it, play the video, but have you in the corner just talking over it?
Oh, so what? So record me making it but not saying anything, and then...
Yeah.
I feel like that would be weird and also be more work.
Give it a go. I mean, I also want you to do one where you go, Sean, was it Bell's Kitchen tonight? And then you tune in and you just do a pot noodle. Like, I want to see that as well. That'd be a good one.
I have considered, like, because part of me thinks, I should do, like, just like whatever I'm making for my lunch. But actually, a lot of times, it's just like a ham sandwich or something. So it's not really going to work.
Then they should do that then.
Do you reckon? Now we've made the ham sandwich. What I'm now going to do is get some mini cheds from the cupboard and a can of Pepsi Max.
And never cry on a wank, and then that's lunch
exactly. Won't stream that bit in terms of service and everything.
Don't stream crying.
No,
it's weird.
I did get my arse out several times in the last Bell's Kitchen, and no one seems to have banned us. So I think maybe just keep pushing the envelope, see what else I can expose.
I had Mr. Twitch on the phone all afternoon. He's like, okay, you won't do it again, I promise. He's done it again.
Right, Andy Godwin says, what did your careers advisor suggest for you, and how close were you to it?
Well, sorry. A career advisor?
Well, I was going to say, I think I had one chat with a careers advisor in high school, and I think it was just like, do something with computers, I guess.
Yeah, I had the same one. Maybe it's the same person.
Probably. So
same answer for every person.
Yeah. Computers are all the rage.
Don't tell the others what I told you. Don't tell the others what I told you, because not because I've told everyone the same thing, but just.
But I think you specifically great at computers. They're going to come in the next 15, 20 years. They'll be amazing.
Yeah. I've never spoken to a careers advisor.
No, me neither.
In my life. That was never a thing.
Well, no. I mean, yeah. Well, you must have had something at school where like, you can talk to someone about what you could do when you're older.
Nope.
Astronaut.
Not once. Not once did I have that discussion with anyone.
No one ever gave me any advice, ever, for like what you should do. It was just like, how was it?
Yeah.
Figure it out for yourself.
I had no advice. The only advice I got was my brother turning around and going, try temping. Which, to be fair, led me to the job that I'm doing
Well,
now.
this is
so
it, isn't
fair
it?
play.
It's like, guess what? Like the job you land is probably going to be nothing like anything you'd thought of yourself when you were 13. But you'll probably find a way to enjoy it. Like, yeah, like I don't know. I don't like.
Is career advisor the easiest job in the world as well? Can you just go? What do you like?
Because it's impossible.
Football.
Yeah, I will be a footballer then. There you go.
Are you good at it? No. Coach. Be a coach then. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just easy. Are you good with computers? Yeah. Do you like the internet? Yeah. Webman.
Yeah. Thought about going into web design.
Webmaster.
Yeah. Webmaster. Yeah.
Webmaster.
Imagine that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. What a life.
Internet. What do you like? Do you like cakes? Yeah. Baker. Ben.
Do you like shoes? Yeah. Cobbler.
Crumble.
Dumping cake.
God.
Yeah, careers advisor, man. I mean, no one knows what they actually want at that point. Do they? I know one
I don't think
person
people do.
from my entire life who, when I met her at college when we were 16, and she said, like, I want to be a tattoo artist, and now she's a fucking brilliant tattoo artist. I mean, she's like my age.
Oh my God. A friend of mine, when I was working in a shitty office, right? And we all work at one of my best friends there. He sat next to me and one day he just went, I am so sick of this job. I'm going to be a pilot. And I was, what? I'm just going to go and learn how to fly a plane and become a pilot. And I went, yeah, all right, mate. And then within 6 months, he'd handed his notice in, and within a few years, he was a pilot.
Holy shit.
It
Fair
was
dues.
just like, what? How are you doing that?
That is some
Like, how is that?
manifestation, isn't it? That's good stuff.
Yeah, it was. I was there the moment that he just went, "Oh, I'm going to be a pilot now." And then I see him like on Facebook, like in front of he's like in the cockpit and shit, and I'm just like, "What?" It's
amazing.
It's mad.
But yeah,
Sorry, Sean. I cut into your story then.
was it? Sorry, I'm quite tired. Was I telling a story? What was the story?
Oh, I probably won't. It's because it was the pilot one.
Yeah.
You said about a tattoo artist.
Oh yeah, no, that was the end of the story. It's just like, so she's literally the only
Great
person
story.
I know who said what she wanted to do, and she's fucking doing it, and she's really good at it. Everyone
Yeah.
else just sort of ended up doing something else, and we're all happy, I
Yeah.
think.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the that's the thing that makes me laugh when you listen to like these celebrity interview podcasts. That you get the people go, well, so when did you decide that you wanted to be a comedian? Well, I was 6 years old, and ever since then, that was it. I wanted to be a comedian. And I'm just like thinking, you do know that's weird, right?
Yeah.
Like, well done, but that's weird.
Yeah.
A 6-year-old thinking you want to be a comedian, that's bizarre behaviour. I mean, Harry hasn't got a clue what's going on.
I mean, I get the whole.
Hasn't got a clue.
I'm not a fan of David Walliams, but he's said before that it's like so many comedians. It was just like if anything, it was a defense mechanism because it's a way of controlling people's laughter at you. And I get that. Like in that sense, I always wanted to be funny, but yeah, at no point was I like, I'll be I'll be an actual stand-up comedian. Fuck that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, 2 years of my life doing that, and it was horrendous. It was absolute. The nerves are just.
Well, this is it, and
I'd
out of
been in
anyone I
plays
know,
and stuff before.
I would say you're easily one of the most well equipped to
Funniest
do it. Well,
men
no, but
in
just
the
in
world.
terms of
Wait,
the,
yeah,
in terms of the
sure.
nerve to do it, like because to me you're like my friend who doesn't give a fuck about that stuff. So the fact that even you found it really stressful, it's like
When I did that gig, God, it must have been 7 years ago now, but it'd been a while since I stopped doing stand-up, right? But before I moved to Milton Keynes. When I did that one gig, I did Ian Lee's Set the Agenda. It was the biggest audience I'd ever played to. And like Tim Vine was on the bill. You know what I mean? Like, so it was an actual proper gig. I, for 2 months, was almost constantly vomiting, and when I was on the tube on the way there, I was just freaking the fuck out. And it wasn't until after I got off stage I was like, oh my god, thank god it seemed to go all right. But yeah, it was horrendous, and that's when I decided that I'd probably never do it again, because if I couldn't cope with it then, now I just wouldn't be able to cope with it. The nerves were insane. But yeah, it is weird. It is weird that people want to do that. Although, right, this is a true story. So last week, at Harry's school, for the 3 days that he was in before they had to shut his year group down because there was a COVID outbreak, they asked him what he wanted to be when he was older. Like, they had a proper, what career path do you want to go down to? Do you want to know? Try and guess his answer.
Footballer?
Okay, all right, that's a no. I don't want to guess. He wants 2 jobs at the same time.
Okay.
He wants to be a football player and a YouTube gamer.
Okay.
So a professional football player who goes home and plays video games on YouTube.
Well, yeah, because
that's like most professional footballers now.
Yeah, because they've got loads of free time.
It's a viable career now, isn't it?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
I actually,
that's what he's going to do.
I mean, this is totally going to sound like I'm making it up now, but yeah, I asked Isaac earlier, so for reference, he's not even 3 years old yet. I asked him what he wants to be when he grows up. He said a unicorn. So,
that's a great answer. Who doesn't? Who doesn't want to be?
Confirmed.
I'm still trying.
Yeah. That's it for the questions.
Cool. We're done for the week. Matt, do you want to do the socials?
Oh, yeah, it's another big week.
But do you want to do them?
Of course I do. I love the socials.
Just
Okay.
contractually bound.
I was just double checking.
Yeah, so Wednesday, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, there's pod comes out. We're doing a talks over for Sony's big PS5 showcase. We'll be live from about 10 to 9. The show starts at 9, 40 minutes long. We'll do some chatting, talking during and after. Can't wait for that. So that's tonight if you're listening to us on Wednesday. We're about 10 to 9. On Thursday, our Tell Me Why spoiler cast comes out. That's the last of our set of 3 spoiler casts. That'll be out in the morning, hopefully. On Friday, James is doing a VR stream, and he's streaming Star Trek Bridge Crew with Sean.
Yeah, mate.
And that should be incredibly fun.
Possible celebrity guest. More on that.
Possible celebrity guest.
It's not Patrick Stewart.
It's no.
But,
Oh, don't ruin it. Could have had... it could be Patrick Stewart, is what we're saying. That's Friday at 9. On Sunday, we're back for Splunky at 8 o'clock. And Tuesday at 9, Sean's back for Play by the Bell.
Yeah, mate.
After that, they're all on twitch.tv/TCGSco. If you miss them live, you can watch them after on YouTube. Search for TCGS on YouTube. If you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Twitch Prime Gaming. Give us your free sub. We massively appreciate it. Thank you to those that have done it already. And on Patreon, patreon.com/TCGS. This month's bonus podcast is already out, as is the Talks Over, where we watched and talked over some old training videos if you want to work in games retail. It was incredibly entertaining.
It was very good fun.
So that you can watch that live. You can watch that. Sorry, you can watch that if you're $10 and above Patreon. You can watch that stuff live, or you can watch the videos a month before they go public. And patreon.com/TCGS, I think to mention that, and TCGS.co for everything else.
I shouldn't have deleted that app. Shouldn't have deleted that Horn app, should I? Maybe we'll bring that back. Maybe we'll bring that back. We will see you next week. Thank you so much for living it. We hope you have a delightful week. Is that possible anymore?
Not really.
Nah.
Is it possible anymore? I would like to point out that I've been self-isolating for, well, tomorrow will be the 7th day now. Because this government is absolutely fucked it. We'll catch you next week. Have a good one. Goodbye, everyone.
Cheersy boys.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.